The events thing is okay. Alright. Let's turn this back on. Like I said, if it's too quiet, let me know. If it's too loud, let me know. And we'll try to get it all situated. Gotta refresh. Okay. Should we start? Gotta load it. Load! There it is. New school, new teachers, and most importantly, new classmates, who I always have trouble connecting with. See my mouse? Like most other kids with glasses, probably. I forced myself to get out of my warm bed. Dad would usually drive me to my old school, but this morning the bedroom of my parents was silent. Did they sleep in? Maybe it was a good thing. I didn't want to get the daddy's boy reputation from day one. My parents were probably still tucked in, dreaming about the good old days, when everything was so simple and easy. Sweet dreams, even if far removed from reality. I silently sneaked out to the first floor so I wouldn't wake up anybody, especially the peacefully sleeping Alia. I did my best to step on the middle of every floorboard. I used to play like this even in our old apartment. If my soles touched the space between floorboards, it counted as stepping into lava. The clock was spurring me on with its hands. I need to hurry, faster, faster. I was too fast, so I needed to circle the hallway once again. Boiling lava was bursting out of the cracks between floorboards. I needed to watch my step to survive at any cost. Hippity-hop, like a frog jumping on molehills, like a fearful bunny in a grove full of wolves. I made a sandwich in the kitchen, shoved it down my throat, and drank it down with cold tea. 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 My appetite was as good as of someone being led up. Oh my god. I struggled too much. Hold on. Let's reread that. My appetite was as good as of someone being led up the scaffold toward a guillotine. I just realized I did not start recording this. Deal the VOD for the beginning part, which is fine. Okay. I lowered my gaze and saw that one of my feet was standing on two floorboards at the same time. Burnt to a crisp, huh? I moved my foot. Disgusting little snakes writhed in my belly, the fear of getting hit and being called nasty names. The clock clicked. I needed to go. It was dark outside, fitting for an early winter morning. The darkness never fully left the house around here. I took my time, tying my shoes, buttoning up the puffy down jacket, trying to delay my unpleasant exit into the semi-dark, into the unnerving unknown. I rubbed my glasses for good luck, though I couldn't remember a single time these thick pieces of glass brought me any good fortune. It's so dark. The sky was akin to a giant bruise. On the east side of it, a black cloud was swelling up. It licked up stars from the sky and extinguished the rising sun. Darkness was plastered all over the treetops. The cautious cries of birds got tangled up in the thicket. I locked the front door with a long key that I wore around my neck. My parents made me wear this noose, afraid that I, being a total klutz that I am, could lose the key otherwise. The wind whizzed on the other side of the gate. It invited me into my new life toward devious adventures. and tagged alone like an old buddy, pushing me in the back. Wide shadows that pines throughout covered a third of the clearing. Upon reaching the edge of the forest, I hid my nose in the coat's collar. I was squeezing through the thin fire break, my hair ruffled up and my back hunched over. Tall trees stood on both sides of the tiny trail. I feel like the music's too loud. Hold on. Or is it just right? We'll turn it down just a smidge. Just a smidge. Okay. The snowy blanket rustled under my feet, and the canopy of intertwined branches above my head cut me off from the already sparse starlight. The night had no plans of moving away from the forest. In this darkness, trees reminded me of a shaggy old woman that smelled of burial earth. Their trunks turned into cracked, wrinkled faces with holes in the middle of their mouths. If I lost focus even for a moment, mold-covered witches would drag me into the forest's depths. Then my parents would be walking around these parts, screaming my name. But the dead can't answer the living. God, that scared me. I don't know why. It's not even scary. Or can they? A sense of panic was growing in my chest. I was fine with Dad carrying me into the school in his hands by now. If it saved me from watching the darkness rise up in the ravines like black dough. I felt like someone jumped into the bushes behind me, so I turned around. I think I should remind everyone that my pronunciation sucks. There's certain words that my southern just does like. As soon as I started walking faster, I heard the snow squeak behind me. The forest took a deep breath with its giant lungs. The windfall cracked. The wind and the birds were left behind in the field. Now I could only hear the forest creak. I walked, listening closely, and the unseen presence grew stronger. As if someone was following me, trying to match the pace of my footsteps. I turned my head so fast, it made my neck crunch. A tiny trail behind me disappeared into the darkness. Tree branches overlapped, forming a natural tunnel. Who's there? The question escaped my lips and dissolved into the unending, creaking sound of the wooden idols, the pines around me. Why did I think going through the forest alone was a good idea? I'm either going mad, or someone had intentionally lured me away from home. Distant lights granted me a smidgen of hope. A country road. I ran there as fast as I could, as if afraid that the trail will shrink. Clawed hands will grip me by the shoulders, turn me around, and make me look at the faces of hungry forest denizens. In the end, nobody stopped me. I almost flew to the decrepit wooden bridge, disbelieving my luck. The bridge's support bathed in the spring tarry and ice cold. I put my hands on my knees and looked up at the forest. Then snorted, trying to calm my breathing. The thicket was pretending to be asleep. It looked peaceful, lifeless. The remaining part of my commute lied through a snow-laden road, illuminated by sparse lamplights. I chased away bad thoughts and ran as fast as I could, from one circle of light to another, seeking protection from electric lamps. Just like in that game where you need to be in the first to proclaim, "I'm protected." The game. Tag. A kid's game where one player needs to tag other players by touching them with their hand making them it in certain zones normally called the goal. Players can stay safe from tagging. Huh. It's just in this case that protection was flimsy at best, with darkness withering outside its bounds. Then I noticed something remarkably eerie. In a place where the light from an inclined lamp couldn't reach, a hairy, crooked shadow came alive with a guttural roar. It almost felt like its features deteriorated light. Its unnatural pose instilled fear. My eyes almost popped out of their sockets as I just stood there blinking, trying to chase away that illusion. But the shadow didn't disappear. It even got closer. My insides were gripping by horror. I stepped back and almost fell into a snow pile. The black silhouette, on the other hand, straightened up and addressed me in a sweet voice. Sneaking around, huh? Trying to steal my soul? Words got stuck in my throat. Who could be talking in such a silky voice here, between the forest and the dormant village? Will you say something, dummy? A cat got your tongue? Alright, I'll bite off your nose then. That'll teach you not to poke it in places it doesn't belong. A girl stood before me, judging from the voice and the silhouette. But I couldn't even reprimand myself for getting scared by a girl before noticing a gaping mouth under her hood with something dangerously shiny inside. I was stunned. From the cavity of her hood, a frightened, angry, real fox face was staring straight at me. It's just her jaws weren't moving and her eyes weren't blinking. A mask. It's just a girl with a fox mask on. At least I wanted to think that. After a surprise like that, a nervous smile involuntarily crept onto my face. I was just going to school and then you... What about me? Never seen a fox feed a dog? Why are you so cute? And indeed, there was a small dog circling the girl's legs. One of the strays that were chasing me yesterday, probably.
Извини, я не хотел.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. After hearing my voice, the dog whimpered, lowered its ears, sniffed me out, and then started wagging its tail. I guess I still smelled of bologna that I ate for breakfast. I was shifting my gaze back and forth from the dog to the girl. She didn't seem scary anymore, just weird.
Значит, не хотел. Ну-ну.
So you didn't mean to, huh?
Как тебя зовут?
What's your name?
Меня Антон.
I'm Anton.
А тебя?
And you?
А меня нет.
And I'm not. She's weird, definitely has a couple loose screws, but she has a nice voice. My astonishment has turned into a mix of happiness and relief. This girl I didn't know was definitely human, if a bit eccentric. I was also a bit angry at myself. This foxy girl was walking through the darkness without problem, and I shuddered from every little sound. I couldn't just walk away, but this girl had piqued my interest. The next time a police officer asks me about my friends at the new place, I'll tell them I befriended a talking fox.
Ты здесь живешь?
Do you live around here?
В поселке?
In the village? The fox giggled and purred. She spun around so hard the hem of her coat lifted up.
Нет, глупый.
No, dummy.
Лисы не живут в поселках.
The foxes don't live in the villages.
Хочешь сказать, ты живешь в лесу?
So you live in the forest then?
Из какой норы ты вылез?
Have you been living under a rock?
Конечно! Лисам среди людей не выжить.
It's obvious that foxes can't survive anywhere near humans,
Пока они лисы.
as long as they're foxes. Her jokes were also weird, just like her carnival mask. Paper mache with fur glued onto it. A dog reminded us of its existence with a loud bark. He's so cute! I unfastened my backpack. Dad would sometimes throw food in there without my knowledge, cookies, apples, or even my favorite crab sticks. He called it a gift from the bunny. Treat from the bunny, an uneaten part of the business lunch or a treat specifically bought for children. Parents would tell their children that the bunny asked them to deliver said treat, but it could also be any other animal, a squirrel, a bear, for example. The stray strolled toward me with menacing footsteps, with a pleading look in its eyes. The fox did definitely treat it to something, but it was probably still hungry.
Зачем ты так вырядилась с утра пораньше?
Why are you dressed like this so early in the morning?
На утренник идешь?
Going to a costume party? The girl shrugged, throwing silvery oh my god, that's sounding so hard. Snowflakes off her nose. And her human form along with them, turning into a genuine beast. A real fox, agile, cunning, dangerous. A moment of hesitation and you'll be ripped to shreds. She'll tear you up and gulp you down without breaking a sweat. I couldn't help but just stand there as a stump. Until I heard her calm, melodic laughter, hidden underneath the beastly mask.
Видел бы ты свою маску, сладенький.
I wish you could have seen your own mask, sweetie. Did she say sweetie? I got embarrassed, went right up to my hair roots. We'd seen a fox in a zoo once, when we went there with Dad, but it had patchy fur, was gray and skinny. But this girl was of fiery color and furry, just like in the fairy tales. I was still rummaging through my backpack. My fingers, that were searching for the dog's treat, stumbled upon some soft, crumpled object.
Ничего.
You'll see.
Скоро проснутся настоящие звери.
The real beasts will wake up soon.
Спроси-ка лучше у них, где они взяли свои человеческие лица.
You should ask them where they got their human faces. The girl's shadow was dancing in the lamp's light. The dog yapped in agreement. I freaked out and dropped my finding in the snow without getting a proper chance to examine it. Cold wind instantly covered the hole it created with snow. The dog rushed to dig it out, wanting to get its treat. The fox just snorted. Now I was so embarrassed I wanted to sink through the snow. It was still dark outside with the electric circle. On the contrary, the darkness seemed even more thick. All neighboring houses were sleeping deeply in its inkiness. I did my best to continue the conversation with the weird girl I didn't know.
Так ты в школу идешь?
So are you going to school?
Ах, ну какой же дурачок!
Oh my, you are a real dummy.
Так ничего и не понял.
Don't you get it? Well, I was trying to be friendly, but she can't stop mocking me, calling me a dummy and all. I should have moved along without paying any attention to this weirdo and her stupid dog.
А ты чего обзываешься?
Why are you so mean?
Не хочешь отвечать, и пожалуйста.
Don't answer if you don't want to.
Никто не требует.
It's not like I care. Still, something froze me in place, tugged me toward the dark figure. A mysterious appearance, her voice that was velvety, and just languid enough. My God, I'm struggling so hard. I was intrigued and excited. I watched her as people watched fires burn.
Ой, да не дуйся.
Oh, stop pouting.
Гляди-ка лучше.
Look here.
Ты нравишься Жульке.
Zolka took a liking to you. The dog was digging through the snow with sharp movements, snoring loudly. The fox turned around and looked at the windows of nearby houses, and its timbered front through the white mist. The tip of her fake nose was shining under the lamp's light.
И не только ей.
And maybe someone else, too. I went red again, like a boiled crayfish this time. Is she talking about herself or someone else? I hoped that the semi-dark would be able to hide my embarrassment from the girl. I cleared my throat before asking.
А кому еще я нравлюсь?
And who's that person? I waited, counting my heartbeat. The fox didn't reply. Her sly stare was scanning the frosty patterns of someone's windows. She was reading them like a glass book. I wonder what she can see in those wintry paintings. The stray stopped rummaging through the snow and ran to me, holding my object in her jaws. A mitten. Could it be the one I found in the forest? What is it doing here? When I looked closer, I realized that it was just my mitten. Maybe Mom stuffed it in there when I was asleep. A certain missing boy immediately came to mind.
Эй, ты знаешь что-нибудь про Вову?
Hey, do you know anything about Vova? I imagined the scene, silhouettes dancing in the clearing. The dance on the night when Vova had disappeared. A boy who, when found, can provide a big reward and maybe save my family. I remembered my birthday when our parents promised to take me and Alia to Disneyland in Paris. But instead of a long-anticipated gift, they gave me a simple brick game console, visibly embarrassed. I was crying my eyes out back then, demanding to take me to the promised amusement park. That was the first time when Mom and Dad had a big fight. My greediness shattered their relationship. If only I could fix everything, gather everybody I love, and take them to Disneyland.
В ночь, когда пропал Вова, я, кажется, видел, как кто-то похожий на тебя плясал под моим окном.
On the night Vova had disappeared, I think I saw someone looking like you dancing under my window. It couldn't be true, but I felt like her mess became even more sly. The fox was sniffing me out.
А что? Ты тогда испугался?
Oh, that got you worried?
За себя или кого-то еще?
For yourself or for someone else? Alia, as soon as I thought about my sister, my chest tightened, and cold sweat streamed down my spine.
Ну так слушай меня внимательно, мальчик по имени Антон.
Well then, listen closely, a boy named Anton.
Это большой и страшный лес.
This is a big and scary forest. The fox girl stepped forward menacingly.
И я не единственный его обитатель.
I'm not its only tenant.
Другие звери уже знают о тебе.
The other beasts already know about you.
Берегись нас. Этой ночью мы опять придем.
Hold on, I get messages. Okay. Oh, I didn't turn my Wi-Fi back on. There. Beware, we'll come again tonight. I shouldn't have talked to this evil in child form, I thought, panicking.
Пока ты со своей семьей будешь спать, подкрадемся близко-близко и станцуем.
When you and your parents will be fast asleep, we'll sneak really close and dance.
Макарену!
Macarena!
Чё?
Huh?
Эй, Макарена!
Macarena.
У тебя прямо челюсть отвисла, Антоша!
Look at you. Your mouth is agape, Atosha.
Видел он меня ночью у своего окна. Ага, как же!
You saw me near his window at night. Yeah, right.
Ты случаем не местный дурачок, нет?
Are you by any chance a dimwit?
Меня не отпускают гулять так поздно.
Nobody would let me go outside that late.
Здесь, знаешь ли, дети пропадают.
Children go missing here, you know. I touched the plastic frame of my glasses, puzzled by her silly joke. She got me scared to death.
Ой, да не тереби ты окуляры свои.
Hey, why don't you stop fondling your glasses?
Я раньше тоже близорукой была.
I was also nearsighted once.
Лучше послушай меня. Может быть, ума наберешься.
Listen to me, and maybe you'll become smarter.
Лисичку как обычно называют?
Remember what do they call foxes?
Плутовка.
Cunning? My words seemed to hurt her.
Ох ты ж! Да как ты меня?
Hey, what did you...
Ой, прости.
Sorry. Her laughter was akin to a jingle of a pair of silver bells.
Да шучу я!
Just pulling your leg.
Конечно, плутовкой.
Of course we're cunning.
Если ты ловкий и смелый, не боишься с плутовкой водиться, я, так и быть, помогу разыскать этого Вову.
If you were agile and brave enough to befriend a cunning fox, I'll help you. Or I'll help look for your vulva.
Ты же неспроста его ищешь, да?
There's a reason why you're doing it, right? I shrugged in reply. Her insight was alarming.
Знаю, почему дети повадились соваться в наш лес.
I know why children have been swarming our forest recently.
Порой там можно найти много всякого интересного.
Sometimes you can find a lot of interesting stuff there.
Я вот однажды нашла целый сугроб конфет и купалась в нем, да так что челюсть слиплась.
One day I saw a huge pile of candy once and I swam in it till my jaws cramped. A pile of candy? I couldn't deduce whether she believed in what she was saying from the tone of her voice. I showed her another smile, a fake one this time.
Посмотрите-ка, какой недоверчивый.
Ooh, so wary.
Ну-ну, а что ты на это скажешь?
Well, what will you say to this, then? She held out her hand in a furry mitten. There was an assortment of sweets in her palm. In the city where I used to live, sweets like these were sold at markets or in kiosks. Kiosk, a small container-type shop selling a wide assortment of products, from bubblegum to vodka, clothing, or even home appliances. These types of shops were popular in 90s Russia, and more often than not, tied to a criminal organization. Okay, interesting. I saw my favorite bubblegum in a vivid wrapper among the tasty treasure. A familiar name was on it, Turbo. A triangular fox face poked her nose toward me.
Угощайся.
Take some.
У меня их полные карманы.
My pockets are full of these. Alright.
Нет, спасибо, я...
No thanks, I didn't want to offend the first person I've made contact with in this new place, but I also didn't want to take gum off the hands of some weird girl. What if she found it in a snow pile? Or what if it's a prank candy? The kind that blows up in your face when you unwrap it.
У меня на сладкое аллергия.
I'm allergic to sweets.
Что?
What? She sounded puzzled.
Ты чего? Живешь в мире таблеток и микстур?
Are you living in the world of pills and mixtures?
Ну, в целом, да.
Well, more or less. Mom said take. Well, more or less. The fox whistled. Her palm was empty now. It floated into the air, catching the snowflakes, now that all the candy had suddenly disappeared.
И Новый год у вас правда раз в 12 месяцев?
And you only celebrate New Year's once in 12 months, right?
Есть эти...
And you have those... She clicked her fingers, trying to remember something.
понедельники?
Mondays?
Ага.
Yeah. I smiled.
О, как все запущено.
Man, you're a difficult case.
Вам бы, юноша, кило шоколада съесть против скуки и уныния.
I prescribe you a kilo of chocolate to battle your boredom, young man. Who are you? I refrained from asking that question. She wouldn't answer anyway. Or she'll just lie. I really wanted to see what's behind her mask. She was becoming more and more sure that underneath it wasn't just a simple young girl.
Может, Вова тоже нашел сугроб сладостей и теперь кувыркается в нем?
What if Vova also found a snow pile with sweets and it's now rolling in it?
Слушай, вдруг он решил остаться в лесу?
Actually, what if he decided to stay in the forest?
Тогда, наверное, ему очень холодно в одной варежке.
He must be so cold without his second mitten then. The wind caught her words like smoke from a fire and carried them deep into the darkness, into the creepy thicket. The trees behind me creaked with their bony branches.
Или с ним что-то случилось в пути.
Or what if something happened to him all along the way?
Что-то страшное.
Something terrible. The forest reacted to her words, became alive. It sniffed me out, pricking up its ears just like a curious beast. The fox girl pierced me with her eyes again.
Дикие звери?
Wild beasts?
Это, по-твоему, страшно?
You find that scary?
Ну, не знаю.
Well, I don't know.
Не знает.
He doesn't know.
Уж не с двоечником ли я подружилась?
Oh my, I have befriended a dunce. I didn't like being called a dunce, yet being friends with her sounded nice.
Я хорошист.
My grades are good.
Бел да пушист.
Really now.
Пойдешь со мной, хорошист Антон?
Will you come with me, good grades Anton?
Найдем твоего Вову и сам его спросишь, что он нашел в этой пуще.
We'll find your Vova, and you'll be able to ask him what he found deep in the forest.
Ведь пока мы вместе, никто тебя в лесу не тронет.
As long as you're with me, nothing can hurt you in the forest.
Вот увидишь.
You'll see. Worms of weary writhed in my belly. Better run, whispered my mind.
Я тебе не верю.
I don't believe you.
Ты думаешь, я врунья?
Do you take me for a liar?
Да и пожалуйста, мне никогда никто не верит.
Whatever, you're just like everybody else. The girl sounded hurt, although I didn't know if she was genuine or not about it. She turned around as if she had immediately lost all interest in me. I remembered my dad's favorite saying, "Where are your manners, son?" Indeed, this fox was kind to me.
Не обижайся, пожалуйста.
Please, don't get mad.
Лисы бывают и добрыми.
Foxes can also be
Ну,
nice,
как в сказках.
like in fairy tales.
Мне бы только понять, что ты за лиса.
I just need to know what kind of fox you are. The girl giggled, hiding the nose of her mask in her hands.
Тогда пойдем со мной в лес, и ты все обо мне узнаешь.
Then follow me into the forest and you'll get to know me.
Но не сейчас, а когда рассветет. А то тебя, бедного, всего аж потряхивает.
But not right now, when it gets bright. I mean, your whole body is shaking, you poor thing.
Того и гляди, кондрашка хватит.
I don't want you to get a stroke.
Ай да, провожу тебя до школы.
Hey, let me accompany you to school. After hearing this, the dog barked in agreement and stopped messing with the mitten. I leaned in, trying to grab the piece of handwear that almost ran away from me.
Ну, если тебе по пути...
Well, if you're going in the same direction. We went toward the school, and the last dawn. Here and there the lights came on in the windows of houses we passed, as if their inhabitants were sending us warning signs. Silhouettes lurked behind curtains, dogs let out occasional barks. Spirals of gray smoke rose from chimneys, TVs bustled, and dishes clanked in kitchens. We watched the village slowly rise from its slumber, while carefully treading the snowy trails. I walked in the left one, and she took the right one. The dog was following right behind us. I expected the fox to bring up something weird again, but she stayed silent all the way to the school, as if playing with me some game only she was privy to. She would only giggle from time to time when the dog sneezed from the snowflakes that fell onto its nose. I was the first to break the silence.
Как тебя зовут?
So what's your name?
Ну, конечно.
Here it comes.
Имена, имена, имена.
Names, names, names.
Людям непременно надо вешать ярлыки на все подряд.
You people always need to put labels on everything.
Ну и как бы ты назвал такую лису, как я?
What name would you give to a fox like me?
Даже не знаю.
I don't know,
Но я читал про лису по имени Алиса.
but I've read about Elisa the
А
fox.
что?
You know what?
Я не против.
I don't mind.
Пусть будет Алиса.
I'll be Elisa. I couldn't understand if she was joking or not. I turned around as if looking for an answer from the dark sky devoid of dawn. My silent questions were left unanswered. The school outline was already in our sight. A giant brick box stuck in an endless night. Lights in its windows didn't bode well for me. The warden trees were guarding the schoolyard. Screams, childish laughter, and someone's whistling tore up the silence. I went here with Mom when we just moved, and the place looked cozy at the time. Empty corridors that smelled of polished, puffy snow outside. The second time I came alone to get the books and just kept on imagining my peers, rolling down the railings, grade schoolers running to the library, and teachers marching down the corridor with the air of self-importance around them. High schoolers were smoking at the entrance, in track pants and rolled caps perched on their foreheads. Their appearance destroyed the last of hopes for a cozy school. Their stingy eyes and teeth, yellow from the nicotine, their smirks, all of it had the same gloomy effect as the cloudy winter morning. Absorbed by my thoughts, I completely forgot about my companion.
После уроков жду тебя на заднем дворе.
I'll wait for you at the backyard of after school,
Возле повешенного.
near the hanged man.
Возле кого?
Here, what? She just ignored my question.
Не опаздывай.
Don't be late. I hesitated. Blowing hot and cold again. Mom always said that when I would have trouble choosing between two options. Thinking about Mom helps me reply.
Я после школы сразу домой.
I'm going straight home after school.
Эх, Антоша, Антоша, это я тебя так просто отпустила.
Well, Antosha, I'm going to let you off the hook.
Другие же незаметно подкрадутся со своими улыбочками и вцепятся. Клещами не оторвешь.
But the others will creep up to you with their smiles and sink their teeth into you. Won't be able to shake them off as easily.
Попомни мои слова.
Remember my words. The fox opened her mouth in a wide yawn. What kind of trick is that?
Антоха!
Someone running in the distance called out my name. I instinctively turned around. Oh, poor puppy! A huge snowball whizzed past my shoulder and hit the dog. It whimpered and ran toward the spring. The darkness devoured it. The fox girl was also nowhere to be seen. She dissolved into frosty air. Or was she hiding in my shadow? After taking a deep breath, I went toward the school, toward the cutlets and dough, toward the light raining down into the snow. I forgot about that. Okay. Let it go. Alright. Take a sip. Okay. Can hear my grandpa barking. He's trying to make my dog bark. I could hear muffled voices behind the doors. Saw blinking lamps. Darkness creeped along the windows, and it felt like the school was drifting in an open space like a lonely, lost spaceship. After going up to the second floor, I noticed a crowd around the notice board. Everyone was taking part in the lively discussion. I moved closer and took a look at something everyone was interested in through the wall of backpacks. There was a piece of paper with something printed on it, glued to the left of the notice board. Attention, child missing. Vova Metionkin, I hope I said that right, 10 years old. Vovo, 10 years old, grade 4B. Child missing. Vova, that was his name. A 4th grader. He left his home on January the 5th at around 1600 and never returned. Was last seen at the bridge over the Smorodina River. He was wearing an orange coat with a hood and a black wool cap, a scarf, and mittens with green stripes. Might have had a plastic toy gun on him. Skinny, brown hair, and green eyes. Please call these numbers if you have information on Vova's whereabouts. 4th grader. On that grainy print, Vova looked dead, with a black mouth and dark, empty eye sockets. Could it be that the darkness dwelling deep in the forest invaded his pores and mutilated his face? A plastic toy gun couldn't protect him from the whispering branches and the howling wind. Empty eyes of the lost boy pierced through my soul, as if pleading. Unable to meet his stare, I turned around and rushed to the window, took a seat on the windowsill. The corridor was slowly filling up with children in groups of few. Nobody paid me any mind. In the darkness of school toilets, child voices were hammering a nursery rhyme.
Для медведя, для лисы, зайчик кушать принеси.
For the fox and for the bear, bunny taste meals prepare. I turned my head toward them, trying to get a better look at their features, but then my attention was stolen by a loud clicking sound. A female teacher marched down the corridor with her chin raised up high. Her heels were hitting the floor like miniature hooves. A girl was trailing her every step. She was also looking pompous, stopping along the way and whispering some secrets in her friend's ear. She was probably a class rep since she was carrying an attendance register book.
Екатерина, возьми, пожалуйста.
Ekaterina, take this, please. The teacher opened the classroom door, and the crowd of children swarmed in, screaming and pushing. Out of all of them, a tall, red-headed fat boy caught my attention. His face was full of blisters. He looked like the sides of a pomegranate. I had a bad feeling risen up the hair on the back of my head. I've seen boys like him before, unsettled eyes, cackling laughter. The girl, who was a smaller copy of the teacher, warned the boy with a wave of her hand and entered the room through the clearing in the crowd. Some other guy stood in the way of the crowd, and the redhead immediately shoved him. Move your legs, moron. The boy flew head first, flailing his arms, trying to keep his balance. The fatso burst out in laughing, and a couple of kids joined his nasty cackling. Their laughter sounded like someone was snipping with huge garden scissors. The classroom sucked all of the kids in. The corridor stood empty. I wanted to grow roots and stay on the windowsill. Just a handful of lampposts outside were battling the darkness, withering the fluorescent fish in the black ocean. Maybe I can still run away. Go outside, dissolve in the dark. I imagine myself running through snow, how it squeaks under my boots, and how I am becoming lighter and lighter with every step. Scared me. The ringer's trill blew that illusion away. I tore myself from the window with great effort, then took a couple deep breaths, trying to at least calm down my mad pulse, and entered the classroom. The prim teacher looked at me over the frame of her glasses, clearly annoyed.
Я новенький.
I'm the transfer student.
Мне вот сказали к вам подойти.
I was told to come here. The snowy forest trail was winding in front of my eyes. The pines rustled, but it didn't sound predatory anymore. She buried herself in the register and flicked through the pages.
А фамилия-то как?
Your last name?
Петров.
Petrov.
Громче говори.
Huh? What are you mumbling there?
Чего мямлишь?
Say it clearly.
Петров.
Petrov.
Нет такого.
You're not on the list. She measured me with a long and heavy stare, as if trying to see if I was lying. I wanted to sink through the floor. Hazy faces observed all of that from the left. The classroom breathed and snorted in unison, like a living organism, like a dangerous beast.
Ты не ошибся?
Are you sure?
Нет такого в списке.
I don't have you on my register. My knees chose the worst time to start shaking, and I felt dizzy. I clenched my fist so hard my knuckles became white.
Мне сказали, 204 кабинет, Лилия Павловна, 6 В.
They told me to come to the classroom 204 to ask for a Lila Pavlovna. I tried. Class 6C. Apparently everyone in the classroom took my words for some sort of joke because they were all laughing.
Что за бардак?
What's wrong with this school? The classroom fell silent. The kids hid their smirks for a better occasion.
Понаберут студентов.
Why do we hire so many interns?
Только знают, что губяки свои малевать. А я разгребай, значит.
They all know how to put lipstick all over their bulging lips, but when it comes to real problems, I have to solve everything.
А бумаги-то кто заполнять будет? Не первый раз ведь уже.
How did they send you here without any proper paperwork? We've had the same thing happen so many times already.
Подожди здесь. Сейчас.
Wait here, I'll be back.
Сейчас я им устрою.
After I have a little chat with them. The teacher flew past me, mumbling something to herself in righteous anger, and I was left standing at the center of the classroom. Like a convict in front of a firing squad, I lowered my gaze, feeling the mocking stares from all around the classroom directed at me. They prickled my skin, danced on it like laser sights. Once again, I imagine running far away from this place, fighting the clawing wind, soaring high above the pines in one long jump, with the wind in my back as my only companion. The eyes of the future classmates were asking, this new boy, is he one of us or an outsider? Somebody whispered something, and stifled laughter rolled through the classroom.
Доску вытри!
Wipe the board! It was easy to guess who was the main prankster here.
Эй, очкарик!
Hey, Four Eyes.
Ты чё, не только слепой, но еще и глухой?
Are you not only blind, but also deaf?
Доску вытри, говорю!
I said, wipe the board. My knees weren't the only shaking part of my body anymore. I was trembling from head to toe, and I prayed for the teacher to come back sooner. My prayers were answered by the powers that be.
Ну что мне с тобой делать-то?
And what should I do with you now?
Куда сажать, а?
Where will you sit?
Давай-ка сядь, наверное, с Семеном.
Oh well, you can sit with Simeon, I guess.
Он все равно один.
He's alone anyway.
Еще чего?
No way. The fatso put his backpack on the seat beside him in defiance, scratched his belly and smirked.
Ты опять за старое?
Are you back to your old tricks?
Снова бабушку в школу вызывать?
Should I call your grandma here again? The classroom went silent.
А чё она мне сделает?
And what's she gonna do?
Не она, так я тебе сделаю.
I'll be the one to do something if she doesn't.
Рюкзак убрал быстро.
Put away your backpack now. Semyon didn't move a muscle. He started studying the portraits of writers on the wall, looking bored. I needed to do something to resolve this somehow, to save myself. I cleared my throat and continued in a stifled voice that sounded nothing like me.
Я могу за последнюю парту сесть.
I can sit in the last row.
Там, кажется, свободно.
I think there's a free seat. The teacher snorted loudly. She looked at me, then at Semyon, then back at me.
Ладно, садись пока туда.
Fine, go there for now.
А с тобой, Бабурин, мы еще поговорим.
And you, Baburin, I'll have a talk with you later.
Чтобы подошел после уроков.
Come to me after classes.
Будешь по классу дежурить, ясно?
You'll be on cleaning duty, got it? Semyon forced out a twisted smile. Juicy pimples were growing on the tip of his nose, ripe for the taking. Oh, that's gross. I walked carefully, afraid to stumble and fall, causing another outburst of laughter from everyone. I took my seat at the back, at the last table, where I was met with a pile of old posters. The outcasts took their seats, and the class was ready to start.
Вот и хорошо. Начнем урок.
Now this is settled, let's start the class.
Тема. Традиции русской и мировой литературы в рассказе Зощенко «Не надо врать».
Today's theme is traditions of Russian and international literature in Zoshenko's Don't Lie. The fatso turned back to me. His stare informed me of the coming days, weeks, and months of bullying. I've got my eyes on you, was his watery look. Just after a couple of periods, I had already noticed a huge yellow spit stain on my notebook. Then at the cafeteria, this Semyon accidentally spilt a glass of kempot on me. A dessert drink brewed from a mix of dried fruit and berries. I don't know how that would taste. And then he flailed his hands around after exiting the toilet, so some of the liquid from his hands would get on me. Just before the final period for today, Semyon pushed me into a buzzing crowd of girls from our class. They made way, cursing, but I couldn't hold my balance and ended up ramming my face into the girl I took for the class rep, right in her chest. Ow! I immediately stepped back, dying from embarrassment. I'm sorry, are you alright? Then she suddenly put her hands on her hips.
Нет, ну вы посмотрите на него.
Will you look at him?
Облапал меня прямо у всех на глазах.
Groping me in front of everyone.
Я сейчас всё маме расскажу.
I'll tell my mom.
Тебя из школы выгонят, извращенец.
They'll expel you, pervert. There was some sort of sadistic pleasure in her eyes, as if she was a child who was about to put a lit-up match to a chauffeur beetle.
Я нечаянно. Меня толкнули.
I didn't mean to, he pushed me.
Все видели. Слепых среди нас нет.
We all saw that, you know. No blind among us. She stared at my glasses while showing me a creepy smile. My eyes. Okay. I started to fume on the inside, but Semyon's laughter cooled my head.
Толкнули? Чё, правда?
I pushed you. You sure? He swaggered up to me, enveloping me in the smell of sunflower seeds and rotting teeth, and then pushed me to the ground.
Вот так, да? И что ты сделаешь?
Like this, huh? What you gonna do now? The bully towered over me, as if saying, "Come on, hit me. Let me see you try." Do we fight back or do we endure? Mom says fight back. I didn't do her choice last time, so we'll do her choice this time.
Слушай, ты...
Listen, you. My throat went dry, my lips were moving on their own, and my voice was akin to a stifled squeal. Semyon wore a mocking smile.
Давай, давай, продолжай, очкарик.
Go on, Four Eyes.
Чё примолк-то?
Why did you stop?
Нам всем очень интересно.
We're all waiting.
Если еще хоть раз меня тронешь...
If you ever touch me again. Semyon slowly stuck out a finger and poked my forehead.
Натронул и чё?
I did, so what?
Еще хоть раз!
Hold on, I got another message. If you ever do it again.
Тронул.
Here,
А вот еще.
once more,
И
And-
еще.
and again,
И еще.
and again,
И еще.
and again. He was poking me with his fingers so hard that my head tilted backward. I must not cry, or I'll be done for.
Чё ты мне сделаешь, мямля?
What will a wimp like you do to me? My vision went blurry. My soles tore off from the floor. I rushed forward and threw a random punch without looking. What I saw when I opened my eyes was beautiful and horrifying at the same time. Semyon was holding his ear and blinking in amazement. Was I the first person to rebel against his absolute rule?
Стопэ!
Лена!
I needed to run, but I was already surrounded by his cronies.
Лилия Павловна!
Lila Pavlovna, I tried.
Павловна! Петров Бабурина ударил!
Lila, Petrov just hit Barbaroni. I can't pronounce things. Semyon's cheeks grew redder and his pimples even whiter, like the heads of larvae. But a smile flashed on his face that was only noticed among his comrades. He got really close to me. The smell of rotten teeth washed over me.
Тебе
You
пиздец!
are fucking done. His voice was evil and dangerous, like someone tore off the lid of a kettle with boiling fat. I was waiting to get hit, counting the thumps of my heart and guessing where his fist will go. The solar plexus, the jaw, the nose. But he just turned around and walked off. A thought, cold and sober and extremely rational, popped up in my head. I'm going to get killed today. I was late to leave the school after classes on purpose. Semyon didn't attend the last period, so I was hopeful. What if he decided to dodge the cleaning duty and ran home, forgetting all about me? I heaved a sigh of relief, like someone on death row whose execution was delayed by a day. But I didn't let myself forget his tone, his vengeful gaze, and scary electric smirk. While the other students were leaving the school, laughing loudly, I was pretending to skim through my books near a window. I was staring outside, nervous. Semyon was nowhere to be found in the front yard or near the school gate. I didn't really believe I was this lucky, so I decided to be extra cautious and stayed for some more time in the corridor that was gradually getting less crowded. All the bustle moved to the first floor. There was a skeleton peeking out of the biology classroom. Some jokesters put a cap with the American condor on its head. The sound of running water were coming from the bathroom. I was the only person left in the whole school. I'm not alone, a sudden thought came to mind. I remembered the missing boy. His portrait was on the notice board near the schedule. I remembered his smile, him looking at me, and the fact that he's most likely already dead.
Привет.
Hello. I shuddered and turned around. At first, my eye stumbled upon a black violin case, and then I noticed a girl from my class was holding it. She sat in the first row of the second column. I could swear I caught her looking at me a couple of times, and I was sneaking glances at her myself. Sometimes it just feels nice to look at something pretty, the spring, the sky, or a girl that's not in the crowd that laughs at Simeon's jokes. And she wasn't whispering the dirty laundry of other people to Katya. She spent all of the breaks just like me, staying in the classroom or looking at the window or drawing something in her green notebook.
Здравствуй.
Hello. I turned red and pretended I was studying the pattern on the wooden floor.
Круто ты ему врезал.
It was cool the way you hit him.
Это вышло случайно. Почти.
It was just an accident, almost. I started shoving books in my backpack to at least put something in my hands.
Вроде Семен раньше таким не был.
Simeon wasn't like that before.
Он к нам недавно перевелся.
He also transferred here just recently.
Бабушка мне его по секрету сказала, что он словно взбесился.
His grandma told me that it almost felt like he went mad.
Семена даже старшеклассники побаиваются. Представляешь?
Even the upperclassmen fear Simeon. Did you know?
А ты вот молодец.
But you're different.
Не струсил.
You're brave.
Угу.
I mumbled in reply. Yeah, right. Me? Brave? A hero that has been standing around in the hallway to avoid a beating. The girl looked at me with her clear, attentive eyes.
А ты за рекой живешь?
Do you live over the river?
В том деревянном доме?
Is that in that wooden house?
Ну да.
Yeah.
Там, наверное, страшно.
Must be scary living there.
Да еще через лес идти.
And you also have to cross the forest.
Я
I
бы
would-
так не смогла.
I wouldn't be able to do that. I shivered at the mention of the forest. I thought of intertwining branches of a snake-like trail of endless darkness that spread like mold among the crooked trees. So I straight up lied.
Да не так уж там и страшно.
It's not that scary.
А что тебя так пугает?
What's so scary about it for you? She smiled after a brief pause, as if brushing off a daydream.
Да так. Ничего.
Well, actually, never mind.
Меня, кстати, Полина зовут.
My name is Paulina, by the way,
А меня Антон.
and I'm Anton.
Ну, это я знаю.
I already know that.
Слушай,
Hey.
Антон,
Hey, Anton. She stumbled as if trying to decide whether she should continue.
а что ты делаешь после школы?
What are you doing after school? My chest felt prickly after her innocent question, yet somehow it felt pleasant.
Ничего такого.
Nothing much. I stumbled and didn't finish my sentence. Elisa's predatory smile flashed in front of my eyes. Her playful eyes and the slits of the mask were probably just a product of my imagination, though. What if that fox girl is waiting for me after the school? Or was it another of her weird jokes? I wonder if she's hiding a big red tail under her coat. I suddenly got covered with beads of sweat after a PE class. I wanted to take a shower, as if just thinking of the fox girl made me dirty, soiled my clothes, lured me into the forest's embrace.
У меня сейчас занятие, скрипка, а потом я свободна.
I have a violin lesson and then I'll be free.
Дедушка мне репетитора нанял.
My grandpa hired me a private tutor.
Наш учитель музыки, он же скрипач. А здесь, в поселке, ему некому преподавать. Только мне.
Our music teacher is a violinist, and he doesn't have anyone to teach her except for me. She waved her free hand in the air, imitating the movement of a bow on violin strings. I could almost hear the music. It chased Elisa out of my head. I looked at Paulina's lips, catching her every word, and was frozen from the unusual sensations. They were warm, soothing, and tingly. It felt like I was very small, and the feelings were immense, and they couldn't fit inside me.
Тут говорят, что у нас в поселке маньяк завелся.
They say there's a serial killer on the loose in the village.
Раньше со школы меня всегда дедушка забирал, но в последнее время ему не здоровится.
Normally, Grandpa would escort me home from school, but he's been sick lately. I snuck a glance at Bova's photo. His eye wells were studying me. His lips were wearing black lipstick, just like the portrait on a gravestone.
Ты не подумай, я не трусишка, просто...
I mean, I'm not a coward, it's just...
Просто мне кажется, что с тобой будет безопаснее.
I think it'll be safer together with you.
Антон, ты сможешь проводить меня до дома?
Will you go home with me, Anton? There it was. Finally, everything that I read about in the adventure books, everything that I dreamt about, was seeping into my life. A mysterious crime, a beautiful stranger, a heroic duel. A duel. Thinking of Semyon instantly sobered me up, returned me back to earth, and it started shaking under my feet like a deck of a ship. If only I could rise to the occasion in front of Paulina. Because no matter how brave I was trying to act, it was obvious for both of us that I wouldn't be able to stand a chance against a big guy like that. And him knocking me out won't even be able the worst of it. I think it's supposed to be won't even be the worst of it. It won't be able. It's translated, that's okay. The worst part is that Paulina will see all of it. And she'll laugh at me like everybody else. No, I don't need anybody to see me in such a shameful state.
Сегодня вряд ли получится.
I doubt I'll be able to today.
Ты же знаешь, Семен, скорее всего, караулит на школьном дворе.
You know, Semyon is waiting for me outside.
Лучше мне с ним разобраться лично, по-мужски.
I need to deal with him one-on-one like a man.
Глупости какие.
Nonsense. Paulina brushed off some hair from off her forehead, and I sensed a weak aroma of blackberry. Paulina was like water when you were thirsty, and you gulped it down and still wanted more. I remembered the summer evenings in the country house, the fire's pungent smoke, the berries hanging over our fence from the neighbors, and the soft cover of pine needles under my soles. Those few peaceful days when I felt completely safe. My mom resting in the hammock, my dad putting meat on a skewer. Could have I foreseen the upcoming catastrophe in the cackle of the coals, in our parents' laughs, in the smell of the fleeting July? Could I have seen how fragile the world was?
Думаешь, этот дикарь будет честно драться?
Do you really think that savage will give you a fair fight?
Со своими дружками набросятся всем скопом, опомниться даже не дадут.
He'll just swarm you with his friends without giving you a chance to catch a breath. Paulina suddenly flashed a devious smile.
Но если мы пойдем вместе, это их ошарашит.
But if we go together, they will be put off.
Я же не только первая скрипка на деревне. Я ведь еще и девочка.
I'm not only the first violinist in this village, I'm also a girl.
Слышала от знакомого хулигана, что он никогда не нападает на кого-то в присутствии девушки.
I've heard from a delinquent I know that he'll never attack someone when there's a girl around.
Представляешь, у них кодекс чести такой.
Can you imagine? They have this weird code of honor. A delinquent, you know? I thought, worried. Is he better than me? Taller? More handsome?
Ой, мне на музыку пора.
Oh, I have to go to music class. She made a couple of steps and stopped. Amazing. Paulina didn't look like those beauties from the magazine posters or the actresses from the movies. But in the flickering light of the ceiling lamps, she looked much more alluring.
А ты играешь на чем-нибудь?
Can you play anything? My parents bought me a guitar a couple of years ago. I immediately remembered my meager attempt at making music. Change, we're all waiting for a change. Seol's song echoed through my thoughts and my desire to change something. Victor Seol, a singer and a frontman of the popular Soviet rock band Kino. They played a mix of a new wave and post-punk. Their hit song Changes is one of the most popular rock tracks of the New Russia era. Died in a car accident. The guitar got lost somewhere, as if refusing to move to the old house near the forest. I think my parents gave it away to someone that needed it more.
Увы, не играю.
I don't, sadly.
Жалко.
A pity.
Ну ладно, я побежала.
Oh well, I'll be going.
Пока!
Bye. Her shout was captured by the loud echo. Her shoes also echoed through the school hallways.
Пока!
Bye. I wasn't sure if Paulina heard me. I looked out the window again. The schoolyard was empty, just a couple of grade schoolers throwing snowballs at each other. Nobody who looked like the hulking Simeon with his cronies. This was giving me hope. What should I do? Paulina could become my friend, the first one in this new place. And besides, she may be in real danger of meeting a killer, and I'll be her defender, her knight. And even though my inner voice was hesitant and whispered about running away from the killers lurking in the woods at night, Paulina was worth the risk. Oh my god, worth the risk. But the red cunning fox was also intriguing. She promised me to help look for Volva, and this will bring me a reward. More money will almost guarantee peace in my family. Gifts for Alia. I imagine my sister happy with like those girls who get prizes from Supano in the finest hour. Alright, hold on. A Soviet Russian TV host and the most prolific showman of Russian kids TV in the 90s. He hosted teen quizzes as well as a computer entertainment shows. Died on December 8th, 2001 when he crashed his snowmobile into a river pier. Dang. And then we have a Russian boy band that was popular in the 90s and early 2000s. It consisted of 3 singers. Its songwriter and vocalist Igor Sorin died to a fall from the 6th-story balcony. An official police report claimed it to be suicide. Oleg substituted him in the band and later died from cirrhosis. Dang. Okay. She'll be dancing with the famous singers, maybe new popular boy bands like Ebenishki International. I don't know how to pronounce these things. Mom and Dad hugging at the Astanikino Pavilion. I apologize for the terrible pronunciation I am doing. I'm trying. And then all of us going to Disneyland. Let me get a sip. Oh, I have to choose? Alright. Lisa. After closing my backpack, I ran down the stairs. Achievement unlocked. Adventurer! I scanned my surroundings through the window in the main hall. Nobody suspicious in sight. And then she messages me. The school doors creaked. The sound was similar to the music from a thriller, the high note that comes before an intense scene. I ran around the school corner trying not to catch anyone's attention. The smell of pastry and burnt sugar wafted from the school cafeteria. I froze when I saw a silhouette on the second-floor window. It must be Paulina, gliding a bow on violin strings with her hands slightly tilted to the side. Or her head slightly tilted to the side. I wish I could hear the melody she played, but Paulina was only in a dark outline on the window's yellow sheet. I dragged my feet forward. The net on the football goal in the yard fluttered in the wind. The same wind that hurled small white whirlwinds through the field. Somewhere nearby, an invisible tractor was humming, scaring away the crowd of cawing birds. The hum of its engine sounded like the howls of hungry beasts that chased me through the snowy desert. Elisa and her scary mask also came to mind. Right now, in the light of day, it was really hard to believe she was real. What did she say back then? At the backyard, near the hangman? What did she mean by that? I looked at the wall. There was a hanged man drawn under the thin black line of resin. Someone played the hangman here. Something was scribbled on the both sides of the man. Escape, fear, truth.
Ближе, мой сладкий.
Come closer, sweetheart. Where is she? It took me a while to realize where the sound was coming from. My eyes strolled through the cul-de-sac at the school backyard, through windows and snow. Squirrel. Examine. One of the snow piles started trembling like a volcano before it erupts.
Отдай твое сердце.
Give me your heart. In the blink of an eye, the white crust crumbled and a fox jumped at me. She made a gracious bow, enjoying the effect her appearance had on me. The silver of snow shined on her coat. I couldn't even imagine that thinking about girls with tails can be this. I don't know what to compare it to. Something infectious, toxically sweet.
Отпор не дал, сердце потерял.
Fight back, or your heart is in my bag. She giggled so enthusiastically. Oh my god! Enthusiastically, that it forced me to smile.
Да ну тебя!
Oh, come on. I quickly rolled a ball of snow and threw it at Elisa. She tried to dodge, but it was too late, and it hit a hit to the shoulder.
Ох ты ж! Гадкий мальчишка!
You insolent boy!
Да, вот такой я!
Yeah, that's me. The fox slowly backed down, trying to arm herself.
Ты хитер, да мы хитрей.
You are sly, but I'm a fox.
Ловок ты, да мы ловчей. Ха!
I think out of the box. She rhymed. Her retribution was swift. The snowball arched its way above the snowy yard, and the ravens flying in the air. I wanted to duck, but slipped and fell to my knees. And while I was getting up, I caught a huge chunk of snow with my face. It burned from the cold. I swore loudly from immense disappointment.
Блядь!
Using the words I heard in Sektor Gaza's song on the cassettes I hid from my parents. A Soviet and Russian rock band that played the so-called hillbilly punk, found by the songwriter and singer Yuri. The band often paid homages to popular Western rock bands and used a lot of profanity and fairy tale themes in their lyrics. Supposedly died from overdosing on drugs. Why is everyone dying? If Dad heard this, he would have definitely gave me a good whipping. He had very low tolerance towards obscene words and always communicated in clean Russian.
Да ладно тебе.
Oh, come on.
Не больно же совсем.
It can't hurt that much. She brushed off my hood as if to show compassion, took me by the elbow and helped me get up. With care and uncharacteristic for a child, she took my glasses, blew away the snowflakes that were stuck to them, and handed them back.
Вот так. 1-1, Тоша.
Now we're even, Tosha. Only people who are close to me called me that. And I haven't even seen her real face. Didn't know her last name, what class she was from, and if she had a real tail under her coat.
Желаешь отыграться?
Want to get ahead?
Мы хотели поискать Вову, помнишь?
We were going to look for Vova, remember?
Лучше поторопиться, а то меня родители станут искать.
We better hurry before my parents start looking for me. The fox let out a lazy yawn.
Родители.
Parents.
Как скучно. Да не
Don't-
будь ты таким занудой.
Don't be so boring.
Давай чуть-чуть поиграем. Все равно тебе дома тоскливо.
Let's play for a bit. You're always bored at home
А ты
anyway.
откуда знаешь?
How do you know that?
Тоже мне тайна.
It's not even a secret.
Со взрослыми да в 4 стенах. Тоска смертная. Всегда.
It's always way too boring being locked up in a house full of
У
adults.
меня от стены взрослых нервный тик. Вот.
I get all jittery from both houses and parents, see? Her furry fox brow started twitching. I faked a laugh in reply, unsure whether being able to move parts of her mask like that was genuinely funny or not.
Ну же, Тоша, решайся.
Come on, Tosha, don't be scared.
Я же вижу, ты хочешь поиграть.
I can see you want to play.
И если победишь...
And if you win. The fox girl got dangerously close to me and stood on her tiptoes, almost touching my face with her rough little nose. Playful fires danced deep in her eyes. She smelled nice, like berries and sriracha. It's the smell of independence and true freedom. I mean, the kind of where all you have to do in your life is run wild and eat sweets. Her whisper poured into my ear like scalding hot water.
Если победишь, буду твоим провожатым.
Hi, Hope! What's up? You remember this game? If you win, I'll be your guide.
Поверь, мне есть что тебе показать.
Believe me, I have lots of things to show you.
Найдем твоего Вову.
We'll surely find your Vova, for one. I felt as if a giant invisible spring bent inside me. My tummy hurt, but the sensation was somehow not excitingly unpleasant. Or exactly unpleasant. I can't read. It was so weird. I just had a conversation with Paulina, and now Elisa was going to drag me along with her.
А если проиграю?
And what if I lose?
Душу из тебя выцарапаю, неженка.
I'll claw out your soul, softy.
Давай, скорей.
Come on, let's go. She burst out laughing, whipped the hem of her coat, and ran toward the road we used to come to school in the morning. Little bitch, laugh like she has. I like her though. Her promise, that sounded almost like a threat, hypnotized me. I bent down and scooped up some snow. I wish I had a device that could tell me whether Elisa was joking or being serious. Or is there always a third option with people like her? Between her jokes, her laughter, and her hot breath on my ear, I wanted to win. To punish her for the lightness and freedom she possessed that was clearly too much for an average girl. when I, on the other hand, was possessed, or rather intoxicated, by the thirst for adventure, by my curiosity. And just like that time, when I ate the cherries from Mom's nalivika and lied down with my eyes closed while the bed was spinning underneath me. A sweet alcoholic drink made from fruits and berries, often called berry vodka. It normally contains only 25 to 30% of alcohol. That is a lot! Dang! It only contains this much. I spat and then cleaned my lips. Do you want to play, little sister fox? Well then, let's play. I armed myself with a snowball and chased the fleeing fox girl. I saw a familiar street with a wooden post that didn't look scary anymore. They were just logs covered in snow. If I were to shout now, the guard dogs would start barking and their owners would peek out of their windows. Elisa's small silhouette was mocking me from far away, so it was useless to try hitting her with a snowball for now, wasting ammunition. Birches mutilated by the cold peeked out to view along the clear road. A giant snow pile towered near one of the trees. This was probably the place where the tractor brought the snow from the village. A whole family of foxes would fit in such a pile. I'm having trouble reading. No, I thought. She's the only fox around here. She's alone. She alone is already too much. Puppy! My second morning acquaintance was running around near the edge of the forest. The stray dog with a mangy tail. Barf, barf. She sniffed around and marked the naked berry bushes and ran towards the other ones. Elisa showed up from under the hill.
Жулька! За мной, девочка!
Zolka, follow me, girl. The dog's ears perked up. It barked in agreement and followed her lead. We ran further and further, exchanging snowballs, laughing and stumbling. The winter forest towered in front of us, reaching for the low clouds. We were at the edge of its shadow, bony and almost. The fox hid behind a huge pine, clearly trying to get close to me and shove some snow down my collar. It was a good plan, but Zolka, who was running circles around her, gave her away. I broke off a dry branch and decided to act even trickier. I put my hat on it and peeked it from the side of the pine. I'll make her think that it's my head. I bit my lip to stop myself from laughing, then jumped out from the other side and performed a point-blank throw. Elisa probably cracked my plan right away, but still let me win 3-1. I was wounded in the leg and she got shot in the chest and in the stomach, losing imaginary blood in front of my eyes. Pleading for mercy, while also choking from laughter.
Молюсь, жалься!
Please, mercy.
Помираю!
I'm dying.
Да все, живи!
Okay, I'll let you live.
Спасибо, добрый рыцарь!
Thank you, O valiant knight. She pretended to bow to me, then grabbed two full handfuls of snow and, like a dying warrior, threw them my way as a last-ditch effort. I dodged her attack easily, laughing uncontrollably and being mad at the same time. I finished her with two precise shots. I can't read. He'll let me live, huh?
Научил бы меня жить, раз умный такой.
Learn me how to do it if you are so smart. Isn't it supposed to be teach me how to do it?
Молчи, ты умерла уже!
Shut up, you're already dead.
Тоже мне помеха.
When did that stop me?
Давай сыграем в кое-что поинтереснее.
Let's play something more interesting. She dashed behind the trees after blowing snow in my direction.
Раз, два, прилети, сова.
1, 2, time to play with you.
3, 4, 5, время поиграть.
3, 4, 5, the owl will arrive. I hesitantly moved toward the windfall.
6, да, 6, дыбом волчья шерсть.
6, on end, the wolf's gray fur will stand. I thought I was a real tail gliding across the bushes. I rushed to the intertwined branches that helped Elisa to hide as if something was pulling me there. I had to move them, tear them off like a spider web. Branches sprang back in my face, but it felt like they were caressing my cheeks and not hitting them. I was sweating, but still had a lot of stamina left. I'll make sure to catch you, little fox. Elisa's voice was wandering among the windfall.
7, 8, бьем копытом озимь.
7, 8, stomp your hooves and wait.
А я тебя недооценила.
Seems like I underestimated you. I
Думала,
thought
ты просто мальчик.
you were just a boy. Confident that she was behind the dry pine, I rushed to intercept her. But the local acoustics tricked me. Her voice was already echoing from the other side.
А ты зайчик.
And you're a bunny.
Шустренький, хорошенький.
So nimble, so cute. A snowball flew at me from the shadows, whistling near my ear.
Я тебе дам, зайчик.
I'll show you a bunny.
Дай мне зайчика, дай.
Yeah, do that. Show me. A bright fox fur coat flashed near a rotten stump. I rushed there, jumping over a ravine.
Зайчик, выходи скорей. Мясом накорми зверей.
Bunny, show yourself. Be brave. Give the beasts fresh meat they crave. This furry collar that flashed from every tree was the most important thing in the world for me. My lips started trembling as if I was a cowboy that was chasing its prey. One jump and the fox was in my embrace, so smooth and desirable.
Все, ты победил.
Fine, fine, you win. She leaned against the scratchy bark and started puffing.
Пожалуйста, давай немного отдохнем.
Please, let's have a break.
Ты слишком быстрый, слишком сильный, лакомый, слишком.
You're too fast, too strong, too tasty. Satisfied, I put my hands on my sides, waiting for the spoils of war from the defeated girl. But what I got instead was a sly snowball in my smug face. The cunning fox ran away, roaring with laughter, but I wasn't even mad about it. I needed to catch up with Elisa to tackle and subdue her. I tear off her mask and see everything.
Бедный зайчик прыгает
Poor little bunny jumps around
возле мокрых сосен.
in the wet pine forest,
Страшно в лапы волку серому попасть.
afraid of getting eaten by the big gray wolf.
Думает о лете, прижимает уши.
Thinking of hot summer, keeping his ears low.
На небо косится, небо не видать.
Sneaking glances at the hidden sky. The sky really did disappear under the trees. I moved using the barking of Azulka as a guide, since she was closely following her owner. And I was getting closer. And the same trail I imagined at school blinked under my feet. It turned out that running like there's no tomorrow was so easy. Faster, higher, faster. I felt like there was a well of untapped potential inside me, and I drew from it. My muscles were buzzing, my lungs felt bigger, and I felt much stronger overall. Even my vision became sharper. I saw every icy branch, every dent in the bark. Something colorful was lying near the bushes, a piece of clothing. Another colorful spot to the right. Elisa was losing her clothes on the run, like shedding her skin. I also used my teeth to take off my mittens, excited by all of that. I'll get naked and feel all the wind to the last drop. Okay? Faster! I reached out to take off my hat, to throw away everything that stops me from running wild in this endless forest. The backpack slowed me down, so I threw it in the snow along with all the pens that were inside, with all the notebooks, all of my drawings on the sidelines, and the dinosaur for Olia. Olia. Suddenly, a clear picture appeared in my mind. My sister standing still near a window, basking in the dusking sun. Her small childish palms were pressed to the glass, leaving marks when they warmed it up. She could warm up the whole world like that. She's looking at the taiga and saying my name.
Tosha!
Tosha! I stopped, took a deep breath, and realized how rash and stupid I was, trying to undress in the middle of the forest while chasing a fox. I returned to get my backpack, as if it was a part of my being I dropped. I remembered again how my sister didn't like to be left home alone. How she asked me to come home faster. What kind of brother am I? Running in the forest that I used to scare my sister with. I'm having fun while she's not even allowed over the doorstep. Sit in your cage, Olia, and watch the same cartoons over and over.
Tosha!
Tosha!
Да, Оленька.
Yes, Olia?
Тоша, а куда?
Tosha, where are you?
Куда так скачешь, чмошник?
Where are you hopping to? Where are you hopping to, fucker? Oh god. From the darkness behind the pines, just like a caveman from their cave, appeared smirking Semyon with a bunch of his cronies.
Ну, здорово, Антошка.
Yo, Antoshka.
Не вышло сдрыснуть, да?
Thought you could slip away, huh?
Очкарик в зубе шарик на.
Check out this four-eyes freak. They surrounded me like a carnivorous pride, making me step back. The smell of sweat and tobacco attacked my nostrils. The inside of my mouth felt salty, as if I licked a battery.
Алиса!
Elisa! The name of my companion turned into a stifled cough. Pines were swaying back and forth like solemn guardians. I was frantically looking everywhere. Dreamt of finding that fox among the trees, expected her to come to my rescue. But only the wind replied to my pleas.
Где Алиса?
Where's Elisa?
Что вы с ней сделали?
What did you do to her? I shuddered after hearing my own voice. It sounded unnatural, rough, and scary.
Какая еще Алиса?
Who the fuck's Elisa?
У тебя чё, кукуха поехала?
Did you hit your head?
Не ссы, ща вмиг вылечим.
Whatever, we'll fix you right up. The fatso spit through the gap in his teeth and pushed me so hard that I hit my back against a tree.
Ну как, полегчало?
So, feeling better now? It can't be. Did Elisa really lure me into this trap to these bastards? No, I can't believe this.
Глядите-ка, пацаны, а здесь он не такой борзый, как в школе.
Looky here, guys, he's not so brave here compared to the school.
Ага, вылитый терпиловна.
A total wimp.
Ты, сука приезжая, не на того руку поднял.
You fucked with the wrong guy, transfer student. Semyon was moving toward me, readying his fist. In that moment, the other delinquent in track pants made a loud whistle, and a hulking boy lowered his hand. It was unexpected. It seems like Baburuyan wasn't the leader of this gang. In reality, they were all listening to the boy who was looking like a small carnivore with very strong and sharp teeth. Probably decided to have some fun at my expense first.
Слышь, Гондон Батькович,
Hey, Junior.
это что ли твоя Алиса?
Is this your Alisa? Only then I noticed Zolka beside my legs, trembling from the cold, snow plastered all over its fur. The delinquent squatted in front of the dog and beckoned it with its hand.
Ой ты, батюшки.
Oh my.
Алиса, ко мне, сучка блохастая.
Lisa, come here, you flea-ridden bitch. The others let out nasty laughs. The dog's ears perked up and she started carefully moving closer.
Иди сюда. Иди, дам кое-чего.
Yeah, come here, I've got something for you. Oh, no! I forgot about that! The dog didn't even have a chance to sniff him when this animal abuser caught it by the ear and kicked it right under the tail so hard it flew into the nearest snow pile, squealing. The whole gang burst out laughing, and my heart got encrusted in ice. Even the birds that were perched up on tree branches let out frightened caws. At the edge of my vision, I saw something flash in the illusionary twilight of the sleeping forest. Or were that just bushes, moving their icy branches in the wind?
Ромка, она ж больше срать не сможет.
Romka, I won't be able to shit after this.
Давай теперь я.
Let me kick the fucking thing one more time.
Второй раз ебану минус на минус даст плюс.
2 negatives will make a positive. But the stray was already nowhere to be seen.
Чего ты, баран?
What, are you an idiot?
Толкуй его на очкарику, где его место.
Go and show the Four Eyes his place.
Только так, чтобы он понял.
In a way he'll understand.
Ага, за ним косякно.
Yeah, he fucking owes you.
Этот очкарик тебе при всем классе всек.
This wimp whacked you in front of the whole class.
Да без Б.
Sure thing. Semyon brought a sizable signet ring with some geometric shape carved into it up to my face.
Ща, парашник, я тебе этой печаткой так заряжу. Клеймо на всю жизнь останется.
In a moment, I'll hit your face so hard it'll leave a mark for the rest of your life. Where did all my inner strength and bravery go?
Стой!
Stop! A wheezy whisper left my lips and my head tilted forward, hitting Semyon's fist. Red sparks flew from my eyes.
Яша, подсоби!
Yasha, give me a hand. Semyon gave me a rough push towards the bastard with the slanted eyes, and he tripped me. I fell in a sharp crust of ice, and the fatso stepped on my hand, preventing me from getting up. It's supposed to be me, but okay. A painful groan escaped my throat.
Слыхали, как заныл?
Did you hear him whimper?
А ты случаем не педик?
He actually... something? I started to lose a breath from anger and resentment. The pain was growing. My ear was hot and pulsating. Pain was shooting through it, like it was cut off, and a ball of nettle was sewn in its place.
Че молчишь, Антошка?
Why so silent, Otoshka?
Отвечай, ты педик?
Come on, tell us. At that moment, I felt pure unbridled rage. The amalgamation of my anger. Why are those these big words? Like the Sprouts ink, that it rose up from the depths of my mind, filling all of my thoughts.
Твари!
Morons!
Знаете, что мой
Did you know
отец
that my dad...
Кто-то педик.
Someone bursted out laughing. This became the last straw. Fear and anger were gripping inside me like mad dogs.
Он айкидо занимался. Поняли?
He knows Aikido, got it?
Он еще воевал.
And he's a vet.
Takих, как вы, с закрытыми глазами убивает.
He'll kill the likes of you with his eyes closed.
Я только слово скажу, он...
One word from me and he'll... Rumka lifted up his arm, stopping my torrent of lies, and made a couple of steps forward. Semyon slacked back slowly backed off, giving me an opportunity to stand up. Did he believe me? Or is he confused by my face, twisted with rage?
Воевал, говоришь?
A vet, you say?
Мой батя тоже воевал.
My dad also fought in the war.
В Афгане.
In Afghan.
А твой?
And yours?
И мой.
Mine too.
Да, и в каких войсках, интересно?
Oh, really? And what force did he serve in? I stumbled. Fear chomped at my rage's throat and made it bleed.
Да он фуфло гонит, Ромка.
He's full of shit, Rumka.
Бля, будуна.
Sure as fuck.
Думал, меня так просто развести?
Did you think I'm so easy to trick?
Я тебя, сучонка, насквозь вижу.
I can see through your lies, little bitch. There was a nasty smile on his face now. This didn't bode well for me.
Ты сам себе приговор подписал.
Well, you've asked for this.
В школе тебя училка спасла, ну а теперь все.
A teacher saved you at school, but here,
Хана тебе.
you're fucked.
Во-во.
That's right.
Давай, Антошка. Молись, чтобы твой труп по весне нашли мне.
Pray that they find your dead body come spring.
Сидел бы ниже травы, был бы целочкой.
If only you stayed silent, wouldn't have lost a hair.
Жирного стукнул, одно дело.
Hitting Fatso was one thing.
Сёма,
Give him a-
ушатай-ка его.
Give him a good pounding, Semyo. Semyo? The delinquents closed in on me, and I ended up in front of Semyon. Blood was pumping in my temples. Branches were swaying back and forth as if whispering something, giving me hope. I gritted my teeth, fighting the thought that I looked silly, and took a boxing stance I often saw in the movies.
Хера ты, Майк Тайсон.
What are ya, fucking Mike Tyson? This was my first ever fight. I'll remember it for the rest of my life if I don't kick the bucket, of course. At the edge of my vision, I noticed the darkness wreath again, as if someone was walking back and forth there. I sensed Roma's claws grabbed my backpack.
Манатки, Антошка.
Give me your shit, Antoshka.
Махаться мешает.
It'll get in the way. I was about to refuse, unwilling to cooperate with the bastard, but then he fished out a butterfly knife out of his pocket with one smooth motion, spun it as if showing off, and put the blade to my neck.
Слышь, Фрей, расслабься, а то больно будет.
I let out a cloud of steam instead of words. Rumka pulled out with all his might, and my backpack ended up in his hands. Calm and relaxed. An insidious smile on his face, he looked into my
Ты
backpack.
от нас что-то скрываешь, да?
Are you hiding something from us?
У меня в школе какая-то крыса сменку подрезала.
Some rat stole my school shoes.
Опачки!
And what's this? Rumka gave me a devious smile.
Так.
So what do we have here? My text and notebooks fell in the snow. He was holding my backpack in one hand and something weird in the other. It looked like a mask. Roma lifted it high as if showing to someone else, to someone in the treetops, in the twilight among the trees. An old bunny mask. Long worn-out ears, barely visible nose and whiskers, mangly fur on the sides. Where did it come from? Who put it there? Semyon laughed.
Новый год уже прошел, мудила.
It's way past New Year's, moron.
Или ты реально поехавший?
Or are you a loony?
Это не мое.
It's not mine.
Да как не твое, В
How
твоем
come,
портфеле лежала она.
how come it's not? It was in your backpack. Rumka was watching the scene unfold with an evil smile on his face.
А знаешь что?
You know what?
Надевай.
Put it on.
Зачем?
Why?
Надевай, говорю.
Because I'm telling you to.
Попрыгаешь перед нами, зайчик.
You'll hop like a bunny for us.
Давай, давай.
Yeah, come on.
Или без штанов домой пойдешь на.
Or we'll leave you pantsless. Anything but this. What if someone from our class will pass by?
Не надену.
I won't.
Сёма, надень-ка на него.
Sioma, put it on him. Biasha rushed to his friend's side and took the worn-out mask from him with a buffoonish bow. Then he passed it to Simeon, who was already rubbing his hands in anticipation. I looked around the pine woods, as if waiting for help, as if the shadows that were around us would take pity on me and take my side. Alright. Branches looked like arms, twisted in unusual angles. Blackened bark was their charred skin, and the darkness was the smoke they produced. I can't run. Won't get away. They'll catch me. And then...
Только учти, Сёма,
Let me warn you, Semyo.
если он скакать не станет, ты сам за него поскачешь.
If he won't hop, he'll take his place. Got it?
Этот чмошник и не станет.
This piece of shit won't.
Да погляди на него, он же дурик конченый.
Just look at him. He's a total loony.
Этот дурик тебе уже раз в жбан зарядил.
This loony had already smacked you in the face.
Ромка прав.
Ramka's right.
Давай, толстый. Восстанавливай авторитетно.
Come on, Fatso. Assert your fucking dominance.
Или сам у нас запрыгаешь так, что тетяндра отцепится.
Or we'll make you hop so hard your pig tits will fall off. He must indeed be scared of Ramka. Semyon swore silently and glared at me.
Вот.
Here,
Это чтобы маска хорошо налезла.
it'll fit better this way. He hurled a huge ball of spit on the inside of the plastic bunny face and put it close to mine. Oh god. His spit looked like a squashed spider. Ramka's face twisted. He spasmed like a beast, like he wanted to tell Semyon something, but then he suddenly stopped. Semyon was still close by with a disgusting smirk on his face and a terrible smell coming from his mouth.
Надевай, быра!
Put it on fast,
Оттурую!
or you're dead. The mask almost looked even more disgusting now yet, despite everything. I felt like it was a chance for salvation. It could become my second skin, if only I was to put it on. If only my face was to touch its bunny surface. I'm sure the fur will glitter, the ears will tremble like they are alive. I just needed to put it on, and Semyon and his friends will be gone. Forever. Okay. The all-speaking, all-knowing, well, it's not all-knowing, but the one that we have been asking to pick has answered. And she says to tell him to get lost. For some reason, Ramka's disappointment with Semyon made me feel brave. Something was wrong in their crew. Some old disagreement. I should cut this old wound open. I need to get into their heads, right into their skulls, their warm brains.
Знаешь что, Семёна?
You know what, Semyon? My own voice, smooth and determined, was a huge surprise. I stepped forward and calmly proclaimed,
Иди нахуй.
"Fuck off." It felt like the whole world was paused for a second and then unpaused right away. Semyon's pupils widened. A mask fell out of his meaty hands. He took a while to process my words, looking stunned, as if he was trying to solve a difficult math problem, but the answer he got made him mad, judging by the bulging veins in his forehead. The others just observed the scene silently, waiting for the inevitable payback. You!
Ты труп!
You're dead! His voice tore off icy crust from the nearby branches. It rained down with a melodic laugh. And then I heard whispers from the treetops, from the holes in the ground, from animal lairs. As if Elisa was in one of the snow piles like a prompter in his booth, trying to get through to me. With no sign of fear, rather with a tinge of playful rage. how this low hum sounded to me. I stared into the clearing between the trees. An orange spot flashed there. A fox, an absolutely regular fox, stepped out of the bushes. I blinked in bewilderment. The animal fell on its tummy and was staring back at me with burning eyes. Its furry tail was sweeping snow left and right, raising the white powder.
На меня смотри, падла!
Look at me, bitch! I was still looking past him at the fox that was smiling at me. She grinned with all her teeth while digging a hole in the snow pile, moving her paws as if dancing. Her sharp fangs was covered in snow and her whiskers were trembling. The fox put her face to the ground, shining platters of her eyes filled with the liquid silver. I returned my gaze to Semyon's twisted face. He was growling something unintelligible. So hard for me to say. The fox backpedaled and disappeared into the darkness, and the forest breathed at me, whispering, "Tell the pig to shut up." I slapped my own cheek to chase away the unfamiliar voice, but the message still lingered in my subconscious. This hint was my chance. I stared intensely at Semyon's nose. He was almost oinking from anger. I directed my words at him.
Заткнись, свинья!
Shut up, pig. Semyon looked paralyzed, as if the medium Alan Chumuk hypnotized him, stripped him of his will. A Russian TV personality that represented himself as a healer and a medium claimed to acquire his healing power during his investigation into fake mages. He had invented the idea of charging all sorts of items for the viewers through their TV screens. Jars of water, photos, or cosmetics died from an unknown cause. It felt like I pulled a card from some greasy deck and it turned out to be a trump. My brain was at its limit. Paulina's words about Semyon were getting worse since he moved here flashed in front of my eyes, like subtitles in a movie. All the pieces fell in place. My joker went flying into his pimply face. I was speaking slow and on purpose, dragging out every syllable.
Есть у меня подозрение. Ты не просто так перевелся в новую школу.
I suspect that you had a reason to transfer to another school.
Сбежал, да? Как крыса сбежал.
You fled, right? Fled like a rat.
Потому что сверстники бывают жестокими с теми, кто не такой, как они.
Because kids can be cruel with those who are
С
different,
теми, кто толще их, например, слабее.
who's fatter or weaker than them.
И ты решил издеваться над другими, как издевались над тобой.
So you decided to bully others just like they bullied you. I saw Semyon's Adam's apple twitch like it was a pump-action rifle getting reloaded.
Ты отыгрываешься за старые обиды.
You're trying to get payback for the old wounds.
Хочешь казаться тем, кем не являешься.
You want to pretend that you're different now.
Но знаешь, ничего не меняется по щелчку пальца.
But you know what? Nothing changes at the snap of a finger.
Знаешь, кем ты был?
Should I tell you who you are? The forest held its breath, listening in fascination.
Знаешь, кто ты есть?
Should I tell you who you still are?
Пацаны!
Guys? Vyosha was about to come to his friend's aid, but Rumka stopped him, whipping out his controlling look. Vyosha turned around and put his hands in his pockets.
Продолжай, Тоха.
Go on, Toa. Rumka's words ricocheted from the rough trunks.
Знаешь, кем ты будешь всегда?
Should I tell you who you will always be? Semyon looked around helplessly.
Второе имя, настоящее имя, которое дали тебе одноклассники.
Your second name, the true name that your classmates gave you.
Откуда ты?
Why do you... Rumka and Vyosha looked at Semyon like he was their prey now. I even thought I saw them lick their parched lips. The wind was also full of anticipation, dragging my scattered textbooks across the road.
Свинья!
A pig! My thunderous scream echoed throughout the forest. Trees and ravines enjoyed it. The echo repeated over and over, doubling, even tripling it. Ramka grinned with all of his teeth. Semyon's hands fell to his side. He was on the brink of crying. I used this to my advantage. I threw the strongest punch I could muster. Oh, I got an achievement. No game. It was much stronger than the one in school. I rammed my fist into his scarred face and produced a cracking sound. His pimply cheek danced like jelly under my fists. Semyon let out a sigh and plopped on the icy road. He was touching the place where I hit him, still oblivious to what had just happened, and how did it come to this? After looking at him for a while, I realized I was smiling. Fatso returned to his senses and threw himself at me, his face twisted with anger. But I dodged his charge quite easily after the great practice I had playing with Lisa. He fell into the snow and landed right in a pile of dog feces. This made him squeal in agony.
Ай, красава, Тоха!
Attaboy, Toha.
Думал, ты сосунок, а вон как жердяй уделал.
I thought you were a wimp, but you've given the Fatso a good whooping. Semyon started sobbing after he realized the direness of his situation.
Сука!
Fuck.
Че я бабушке теперь скажу?
What will I say to Grandma?
Она меня убьет, когда увидит.
She'll kill me when she sees this.
Чего ты там скулишь?
What are you whining about?
Тебя с параши не слышно.
Get your head out of your ass. Semyon's futile attempts at cleaning his coat caused a fit of giddiness from Yosha. I also smiled, angrily twisted my lips.
Мастёвина!
Lucky fucker, eh?
А ну вставай, скачи как зайчик.
Hey, get up and hop like a bunny.
Только желательно подальше, а то от тебя уже дерьмом несет.
Just stay away from us, you stink of shit.
Фу!
You. Oink.
Идите вы все нахер!
Fuck you guys. His eyes, red from tears, stopped on me. I didn't even have the time to erase the smile from my face when Semyon lunged at me like a hawk and clawed at my face with his twisted fingers and with gnawed fingernails. I threw a kick toward the layer of fat under the coat. At the same moment, the world became fuzzy and the black trees and the faces of my classmates all blurred.
А чё на это скажешь, сука?
How do you like that, bitch? He threw up a hand and holding my glasses victoriously. But his trump was short-lived. Two blurry silhouettes rushed forward. Semyon's former friends. I heard the familiar sound of someone being slapped around.
Не по-пацански поступаешь, гнида!
This is against the rules, asswipe.
А ну гони линзы назад!
Get back the oculars now.
Дерись по понятиям, на!
Fight like a fucking man. Judging from Semyon's sighing and grumbling, he didn't agree to his friend's terms.
Вы чё творите?
What the fuck?
Ой, бля!
Ouch.
На лоха позорного меня променяли! Ой, 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 ой!
Betraying me for a piece of shit?
Да пошли вы в жопу! Тоже мне друзья!
Fuck you, are we even friends anymore? Oink. A huge figure trembling in the snow barely managed to break out of the rain of punches and ran for the hills, dissolving into the twilight.
Завтра в школе тебя выцепим, хрюндель!
We'll get you at school tomorrow, Porky.
Точно, точно!
That's right.
За базар ответишь, на!
You'll answer for this.
Горло тебе перережу, слышишь?
I'll cut your throat, you hear me? Rumka and Vyosha started to throwing pieces of ice at the fleeing Semyon, but then switched to hurling mockery. Porky! The snow rustled. Two boys, clearly out of breath, approached me. I was finally able to make out their faces clearly.
Мои очки.
My glasses.
Блять.
Rumka cursed under his breath.
Гандон этот стащил.
The fucker got them.
Зато мы ему всыпали одну сына.
At least we whipped his ass real good.
Завтра вот с таким фуфелом припрется, отвечаю.
He'll come to school with a shiner this big. Vyosha let out a throaty laugh. Hyenas in The Lion King would envy a laugh like that.
Ну и дела.
Boy.
Тоха, ты без очков хоть что-то видишь?
Can you see without your glasses, Toha?
Немного.
A little bit. A hand holding a red rectangle protruded from the mist. Rumka was offering me a cigarette.
Угощайся.
My treat. I squinted, trying to make out the brand, even though I didn't know anything about cigarettes. I haven't tried smoking yet, and I didn't really want to start. I wonder if they'll keep hanging out with me if I won't adopt all of their habits. After a moment of hesitation, I shook my head.
Спортсмен, что ли?
Into sports, huh?
А ты в глаза долбишься?
Are you blind or something?
Не видел, как он Семёна четко вмазал?
Did you see how he threshed Semyon?
Да базара ноль, Mortal Kombat на.
Real deal. Mortal fucking combat.
Плохо у нас Рокки Бальбоа.
Toa here is Rocky Balboa.
Тогда уж Иван Драго.
More like Ivan Draco.
Курим одну на двоих, гони жигу.
We'll split this one. Give me a light. Rumka pulled out a cigarette with his lips, and Vyosha scrambled to find a lighter inside his pockets.
Тоха, что я сказать хотел?
So Toa, back to what I was saying.
Не держи
Don't-
зла, брат.
Don't be mad, bro.
Мы тебя на вшивость проверяли.
We
А
were
то
just-
очки эти, а еще и маска.
We were just testing you. I mean, your glasses and this mask. Vyosha lit a giant... Felicity? I don't know. And Rumka smacked his lips, taking a long puff of his cigarette.
Меня, кстати, Ромка зовут.
I'm Rumka, by the way. He squeezed my hand so hard that my fingers hurt. His palms, full of dry, torn blisters, amplified that he wasn't wearing a tracksuit for nothing.
Это вот Бяша.
And this is Vyosha.
Ты не очкуй. Со свиньей мы лично пообщаемся.
Don't worry, we'll have a talk with Porky. He let out a cloud of smoke in my face, which instantly made me cough.
Ага.
Yeah,
Пойду пока сумку соберу.
I'll go gather my stuff. It's getting dark. I bowed to pick up my now empty backpack and look for its contents, hoping that my new buddies will disappear when I turn around. But they just stood there, passing a cigarette back and forth. Two small silhouettes with a small light wandering between them, with the pine trunks as the backdrop. They were waiting for me to finish picking up my textbooks while whispering something to each other. Rumka was the one talking most of the time, though. Vyosha was just constantly sniffing with his runny nose and mumbling in agreement. At that moment, I saw that old battered bunny mask from papier-mâché among the snow-covered notebooks. Its empty eye sockets could be filled with anything with any eyes but this mask. It looked like it wanted me, or wanted mine. Where did it come from, and why was it in my backpack? I picked it up with the utmost care, as if it could bite off my finger at any moment. It was just a carnival mask, with a frozen split on the inside. Still, something felt wrong about it. Something was withering inside it, underneath the layers of old newspapers. I could hear 1,000 of tiny bodies rustling in the trembling fur. Something was trying to chew its way out. Maggots.
Готов, Тоха?
You ready, Toa? Rumko's voice pulled me out of my nightmarish delusion, and I drew the mask away in horror. Somewhere I won't be able to see it anymore. My innards were twisted from disgust, but I stood up, trying not to show it. Whether those maggots were real or just one of my delusions, I didn't care. All of this was too much for a single day. I wanted to go get home as soon as possible.
Ладно, пацаны, мне пора уже.
Right, guys, I need to go.
До свидания.
See ya. I held out my hand toward the two silhouettes to say goodbye. A couple of dark lines trembled in front of me. They stood without moving, as if studying me.
С кедрами закорешиться решил.
Hey, decided to buddy up with a cedar?
Мы здесь вообще-то.
We're over here. I realized that Rumka's voice was coming from behind and turned around embarrassed.
Деревья хреновые, кенты.
Trees make shit for shit buddies.
Ты не ссы. Мы тебя до дома доведем, а то ты как слепой котенок.
Relax, we'll escort you home. You're as blind as a newborn kitten.
Так здесь живем и сгниешь.
Without us, you'll end up dead around here. A cigarette butt hit against the stump with a flurry of sparks and started sizzling in the snow near my feet. The boys let out a strained laugh and took me by the arms. When we were leaving the clearing, I turned around in hopes to see Elisa, or at least some orange dot. What if? But I only saw a rumbling tractor that was creeping out from the corner. We were going alongside a still fire road in silence. The silence felt depressing, coupled with my lack of vision, so I
А
spoke.
почему тебя Бяша зовут?
Why do they call you Biosha? The bureaucrat kid just smirked in reply.
Потому что я волк в овечьей из Курина.
Because I'm a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Брешешь.
Bullshit.
Пургу гнать, это он умеет.
Fucking around is what he does best.
А звать его так, потому что блеет, как овца.
He's got his nickname because he bleats like a sheep.
Все после того, как из черного гаража живым выбрался.
It started after he returned alive from the black garage. Biosha's face contorted at those words. I could see it, even though through the veil of blindness. He swayed. I started mumbling something unintelligible.
Видишь?
See?
С ним так всегда, как об
Ха.
этой херне заговоришь.
Happens every time someone brings it up.
Ты сейчас о чем?
What are you talking about?
Ты серьезно про эту страшилку не знаешь?
Did you really not hear that horror story?
На черной улице,
On one pitch black street,
в черной подворотне,
in a pitch black alleyway,
стоит черный гараж.
there's a pitch black garage.
И он знает о тебе все.
It knows everything about you.
Где ты живешь, что любишь, с кем дружишь.
Where you live, what you like, who are your friends.
Наверняка слышал о пропавших детях.
I'm sure you've heard about the missing kids.
Это тут не первый год происходит.
This has been going on for a while here.
Все местные знают, кто здесь замешан.
The local folk know who's behind all of that.
Даже взрослые.
Even the adults.
Вообще, везет тебе? Ты вон в лесу, считай, живешь.
You got lucky you live right on the edge of the
Он
forest.
к тебе так просто не сунется.
This thing won't come there without a good reason.
Тупо сечет, что среди деревьев будет выделяться.
It knows that it'll look too foreign among the
А
trees.
у нас эта хрень может где угодно поджидать. Иногда в конце переулка или возле дома.
While in our area, this piece of crap can hide anywhere. Be it at the end of the alleyway or near your house.
А еще
Also,
идешь такой себе ночью, и тут раз,
you'll just be going somewhere at night and bam!
он стоит, где совсем недавно пусто было.
You see it in some place that was empty just a while ago.
Дверь
It's-
открыта, внутри мрак.
Its door open, pitch dark inside.
И тут как?
And then, Vyosha pulled his cap over his head and started howling in a high trembling note, trying to silence Rumka.
Ладно, проехали.
Fine, forget it. I was trying to process Rumka's story, but I couldn't figure out what to think of it. During the short time I've been in this snow-laden village, I realized one thing. A lot of people here had some sort of experience with something they couldn't explain. I looked at Yosha, who was pattering to the side.
Тоха, а вот скажи, нахрена вы-то сюда переехали?
Tell me, Toha, why the hell did you move here? I heaved a deep sigh while looking at my feet. Somewhere down below, the tips of my boots scraped up fog. I spoke words that I recited countless times.
У отца тут новая работа.
Dad has a new job here,
И мама в поселке раньше жила.
and my mom used to live here,
Давно еще при Союзе.
back in the Soviet days.
Здесь же нечего делать, только гнить.
There's nothing to do here but rot away.
Ну или как Бяша, по лесам шастать.
Like Byosha here, wander around the forest. Byosha fearfully showed his face from under his hood, like a snail crawling out of his shell and listening in.
Он у нас турист.
He's a camper, see?
Летом целую неделю в палатке жил.
Spent a whole week in a tent last summer.
Здесь, рядом.
Here, nearby.
Прикинь?
Cool shit, right?
Хотя от мамки его звезданутый я бы сам в лес сбежал.
I mean, with a crazy old woman like his, I'd also flee to the forest. We kept on going, but it felt like the forest was sliding by. Just double checking. Pines were black keys, or pines were the black keys, and the space between them, the white ones. The thicket was playing its old creaky melody, the melody of roots, bear caves, and forgotten taiga skates. Snowflakes flew around, creating a disturbing illusion that somebody was wandering the forest. Somebody tall, unnoticeable, ready to camouflage as a tree or a snow pile. And then, when nobody paid attention anymore, they just continued moving along the road. But it was just a trick of the light. There was no one there. At least I wanted to think that. Roma suddenly stopped and said,
Слышите?
"Hear that?
В лесу кто-то бродит походу.
Someone is snooping around the forest." The skin under my clothes started itching and my stomach started aching. We looked the way Rumka was pointing.
Высоченный, причем с нашей скоростью идет.
Really tall, matching our speed. There were no tall silhouettes behind the mass of pines, just shadows creeping in the semi-dark. Slow shadows, fast shadows, hungry shadows. The snow that fell silently from the branches made me shiver and bite into my lip, as if something huge lifted off the tree and flew away. Maybe even towards us. Rumka picked up a pine cone from the ground and threw it into the thicket.
Эй!
Hey! His shout ricocheted as if it hit a tightly sprung drum. The echo mocked Rumka. Then the silence reigned again.
Кто-нибудь видел?
Did you see that? I shook my head. The only things I could see were the vertical strokes of the trees, the darkness, the snowy and the hazy silhouettes of my companions. I remembered the rough textured trunks, the spongy legion, and the icy bits on the bottoms of the ravines.
Пойдемте скорее, а то вечереет.
Let's move faster, the sun is setting. I was again grabbed by the elbows and dragged along toward the forest, toward the pointy spires of branches. The sun had finally sunk behind the green peaks. The darkness spread its shoulders and started spreading like smoke. It started snowing, thick, sticky flakes, white flies, following the scent of dead meat. My vision had become a small island, awash by dark waters. I was grasped by the same weary feeling I had in the morning. I felt that somewhere far away at the edge of my comprehension, I heard a very calm and silent flute playing. The sound was fragile, like ice in March, above the dormant waters of a bottomless lake. I scraped inside of my ear with my finger to get rid of the auditory hallucination. The forest was silent. I imagined a child walking at night under the watchful eyes of
А вы знали
pines.
Вову Матюхина?
Did you know Vova?
Мальчика, который пропал недавно.
The boy who went missing recently?
А разве мы не его ищем, сладкий?
Weren't we looking for him, sweetie? I shuddered and stopped staring at the person who was guiding me. At Elisa in her unchanged fox mask. The girl was gently holding my elbow.
Что ты здесь?
What? Why are
А
you?
ведь я тебя потерял.
I lost sight of you.
Потерял,
You did,
потому что зазевался.
you did because you were careless. I squinted in suspicion.
И давно ты за нами идешь?
How long were you following us?
Что значит давно? Я всегда была рядом.
What do you mean, how long? I was always by your side.
Да и за кем? За вами.
And who? Us? Stunned, I looked around and couldn't find Roma or Biosha. And then I felt her cold finger on my wrist.
Пойдем же.
Let's go.
Мы собирались искать Вову.
We were going to look for Vova. Without a chance to catch my breath, she started dragging me along through the forest. I was enveloped by the smell of tangerines, coffee, and firecrackers. I felt like I was a small kid again, being led into the unknown. I saw the dark silhouettes of trees ahead, the bushes, hedgehogs were weary, showing off their spikes. Something rectangular appeared in our walkway like a small box. I became petrified. I touched the edge of my eye, pulling back the eyelid as if trying to correct my vision. A garage made of metal rose up from the windfall. It was big, no, huge, impossible to move without special equipment. Its walls were painted black, even blacker than the darkness around us. The fox sniffed around and it seemed like her mask twisted in disgust.
Это здесь.
This is the place. The worried voice of my companion scared me even more than this horrifying metal box.
Здесь?
Here?
Я слышу его запах.
I can smell him.
Может, Вова играет с нами в прятки, и он решил спрятаться
Maybe Bova is playing hide and seek with us and he decided to hide.
внутри.
Inside. I felt like I saw smoke from form tentacles that split off the garage, searching for something in the wilted leaves. These tentacles slithered along the snowy blanket, getting close to our feet. And there was a scary screeching sound coming from the other side of the huge black metal gates. Somebody or something definitely waited for us inside. I thought that my nervous movements were similar to that of a marionette dangling its hands off a puppeteer. I stepped toward the garage, holding my breath. I don't remember this. I think we made a different scene. And gave the sheet metal door a small knock with my knuckles. Knock, knock. And then jumped back. I heard rusty meat hooks jingle on the thick metal chains, awakening someone huge who crawled to open the black gates. Nothing happened. My heart was racing. Still nothing. Knock, knock. I hesitated to turn my back to the garage, so I took a couple of steps back. Slow steps. Oh my god! I wasn't even done reading! Oh my god! Can I go back? Don't scare me again. It says I hesitated to turn my back to the garage, so I took a couple of slow steps back, unable to tear my eyes off the stench oozing crevice, and was about to call Elisa when "Run!" I heard a weak voice, scared voice resounding in my head. Stumbling all over the place, I still rushed into the night that was swarming with shadows. I ran behind the crooked trunk of a pine, sure that Elisa was by my side. But after a moment had passed, I realized that the girl was nowhere to be found. The forest was mumbling its ancient chants, squeaking, ticking, rustling. I froze. I didn't know how much time had passed before I realized that I was standing in a complete darkness in a circle of trees that were shooting up their trunks high into the sky. Everything around me moved, trembling. My ears went numb from all the rustling. The trees melted into the darkness of the cosmos. The bushes became empty cells, whose occupants were suddenly set free. It felt like a clawed fang could fly out of that darkness into my stunned face at any moment. I heard screams somewhere far away.
Anton!
Anton! Someone was looking for me just like that boy who went missing. Tears stung my eyes. A big drop fell from my lashes.
Anton!
Anton! The scream was closer now, and for a moment I even believed that I was about to be saved. I'm here! One of the trees moved. It wasn't Rumka, nor was it Vyosha. An adult, tall, with long arms. Many shadows that looked like dogs snuck around behind his back, to those beasts much larger than Zolka. The forest was dormant no longer. No longer it hid its face behind fake masks. I stood still like a deer pierced by the lights of an incoming truck, and the beasts all stared at me. In the semi-dark, without my glasses, I could see very little, and it was still more than enough for me to freeze in terror. The smell of animal piss and wet fur enveloped the clearing, when the creepy possession with the giant at its head moved toward me. My legs gave way because of the fear, and I fell to my knees, into the snow. It looked like I was praying to that figure, to the trees, to the darkness. I didn't dare lift my eyes, so when he got close, showering me with his stench, for a moment I thought that his legs were covered in gray fur. I shut my eyes so tight that red circles started dancing in the inside of my eyelids. I didn't want to look, but I could still hear everything. His breath was akin to sandpaper that was scratching at my ears. His voice was deep, hoarse. No, it wasn't a voice, a roar. I fished my grandma's chant out of the pool of my memory. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, ashes. I got a stench and a roaring in reply. Words could never protect against claws and fangs. I was helpless. And then I've heard a familiar sweet voice nearby. Come on, do it. Get a taste of him. No. Something hot slid across my throat, like a meaty, sticky rope. Someone's tongue. I told you, Master. He's our bunny. Please, take good care of him. From the narrow embrasures of barely lifted eyelids covered by my trembling fingers, I watched a horrifying silhouette tower over me. I gotta turn this down, it's loud in my ears. I was taken in a smell of kennels, compost pits, and moss. In front of me stood a scary horned beast with the presence of a monarch. His posture told me of his electrifying nobleness. His horns supported the clouds, and he popped out. Lukuma's pierced. I'm ready to pop eyes with a thorny stare. His hands were full of gifts. Candy fell to the snow, sparkling with its fancy wrappers, silvery packets of chocolate bars, and chupa chupas sticking out from the snow pile with its plastic stick. for you. Candy rained at my feet. A doll fell nearby, and then it started raining toys. A spinning top, a teddy bear with a torn-up nose, red-headed Carlson without a propeller, a tin toy soldier with a flag, a firefighter truck, and a crop duster plane. The toys weren't covered in blood, but my imagination was painting them in the red spots and crimson leaks, all on its own. The horned shadow of the beast moved over to the treasures that once belonged to unknown kids. Take. Hairy hands reached into surrounding darkness, took out a mangy bunny mask that was haunting me. Forcefully pulled it over my face. Bunny. The shadows of the beast around us slowly, graciously stood up on their rear legs. And then, light hit my face, shattering the monster's figure in two. I put up my hand to protect myself. Flashlights. Ray slid down.
Антон!
Anton,
Вот ты где.
there you are.
Ты совсем сдурел?
Are you out of your mind?
Это вообще как понимать?
What's this all about? I was staring up at my dad, completely stunned, into the space where the monster was just a moment ago. The clearing was enveloped in darkness again, and I could still barely make out the outlines of toys and candy in the snow. And I'm sure if I was brave enough to get close to the bushes, I'd find animal prints there.
Язык проглотил.
Cat got your tongue?
Одноклассники твои к нам пришли.
Your classmates came to us.
Сказали, ты сбежал от них в лес, в самую чащу и...
They said that you ran away from them deep into the forest and...
Что это за дрянь ты напялил?
What the hell are you wearing? I pulled the mask down from my sweaty face and threw it into the heaps of toys. Branches cracked in the distance. I pressed myself into my father's chest, engulfed by fear, and he started looking around, alerted, and spoke in a tone of voice that was much more nervous.
Так, пойдем отсюда скорее.
Okay, let's get out of here.
Мать узнает, такой нагоняй нам устроит, мало не покажется.
If your mother learns of this, she'll be mad at us that we'll never forget this day. I reached out for my father, still feeling the chilling embrace of fear. I gripped his firm hand, felt his quick pulse with my fingertips, then stood up and wobbled along behind my father, following his barely discernible footprints. Back to civilization, back to light, back to the road where my dad parked his car.
Чтобы дома ни слова, ясно?
And not a word about this at home, got it?
Ни единого намека, где я тебя нашел.
Don't even hint where I found you.
Да, пап.
Alright, Dad. He was holding my hand as if it was the most precious thing in the world and kept telling me how afraid he was to lose me or Alia. But it wasn't that sticky like an animal tongue fear. His fear was a noble, crystal clear diamond, and I just nodded in reply and kept moving my feet. And then I heard a familiar voice coming from behind me.
Помни,
Remember,
пока ты со мной, никто тебя здесь не тронет.
as long as you're with me, nobody will lay a finger on you here. The car sped towards our house. I pressed my cheek against the window and saw a short building among the trees, a shack darker than night, the garage that was hidden inside the thicket, a crypt made of metal. It almost felt like it was following us. A moment passed and the building disappeared around the corner. I gulped down my dolor. and the white snowflakes just kept dancing in the starry sky. Look what the cat dragged in. Mom was going down the stairs, piercing Dad with her trademark glare. Her face showed something between wrath and condescension. Suddenly, her gaze shifted to me and stayed for a dangerously long time.
Так, я не поняла. Антон, а где очки? Потерял?
Hey, what's this? Where are your glasses, Anton? Did you lose them?
Да в школе поди забыл, простофиля.
This dummy probably just forgot them at school. A venomous pause followed.
Весь в тебя.
He's your son, all right. Dad glared at Mom and then mischievously... Why is it so hard for me to say certain words? I know what it is, but I can't say it. Mischievously winked at me, reminding me of our deal.
Ну ничего, есть же запасные. Проживем как-нибудь.
Well, we have spare glasses, so we will manage somehow. My parents stood in silence a bit longer, and then both of them went to mind their own business. Alia threw herself into my arms before I could even take off my coat.
А я лису увидела!
I saw a fox! Surprise akin to a shotgun blast. I could only flap my lips in reply. The cup shattered into too many little pieces with a loud bang. My mom had let it fall from her hands. Her face was pale and her eyes were glued to the ground. The pause, just a split second, felt like an eternity. Then my mom spoke with disappointment. First it was an owl, now it's a fox. Will you ever get tired of this?
Правда, правда!
But it's true!
Такая пушистая!
She was so fluffy.
Она у забора стояла на задних лапах, совсем как человек.
She stood on her back legs near the hedge, just like a person.
Она меня позвала, а тут мама вышла, и лиса убежала.
The fox called my name, but then Mom came and she fled. There was no fox. Stop making things up.
Не подходи к ней.
Don't go near her. If it wasn't necessary, I was ready to shake my sister as if she was a doll made of cloth.
Ты чего, Тоша?
What's wrong, Tosha?
Не подходи, слышишь?
Don't go, you hear me? Mom entered the hallway and gave me a surprised look. I hesitated.
Лиса ведь укусить может.
A fox will bite you. I remembered fairy tales where foxes used to kidnap children. I imagined my Elisa, liberated, carnivorous, running through the night forest with a dangling sack in her hands.
Это ж была не настоящая лиса.
It wasn't a real fox.
Расскажи ему, Оль.
Tell him, Alia.
Она на двух ногах ходила, а еще была в платье одета.
She stood on 2 legs and she wore a dress.
Только она была взаправду.
And she was real.
Видишь?
See? Mom showed us a tired smile as if it was the only explanation needed. I also forced myself to smile. My smile was like a thin piece of soap right before it dissolved completely on your palm. But then I was left alone with my sister. I whispered,
Еще раз увидишь ее, беги.
"If you see her again, run." Thoughts of the forest beast bombarded me like a rain of candy and toys. There was a hairy silhouette standing in front of me, towering over the treetops. Who was he? What happened in the forest? What's happening to me? I shut my eyes and threw the vitamins in my mouth, washed them down with water. Please, stop driving me mad. Please. I barely managed to force myself to do homework, but those math problems just refused to be solved. The numbers in my notebook tumbled around and mixed in a whirling dance, sometimes running over the lines. My head became heavy from the pendulum, and I almost dropped it into the chain of numbers. My eyelids felt like there were tiny weights tied to them, the type used in grocery stores. And right at the moment I surrendered and closed my notebook, and the memories of the days started flashing before my eyes. I was in middle school, and I was in the middle of the stuffy school corridor. I could see the literature classrooms from here, the faces of dead classical writers on their portraits, the prim and regal poses of our homeroom teacher, Leela. And around the corner was her daughter, Katya, a snitch and a gossip eagerly waiting for me.
Эй, новенький, новенький.
Hey, transfer student, transfer student.
Чего тебе, Кать?
What do you want, Katya? She got up on her tiptoes and started swaying, while hiding her hands behind her back, and then asked me in a fake smile on her face.
Скажи, пожалуйста, а чего это тебя к нам перевели, а?
Can I ask you something? Why did you get transferred here? I might have told the truth about this to Paulina, but Katya will sell it on the market for 3 kopikas. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It would be the same as printing all my thoughts and handing them near Vova's picture for everyone to see. So I reverted to an answer I knew by heart.
Это все из-за моих родителей.
It's all because of my
У
parents.
папы тут новая работа, а мама...
Dad has a new job here, and my mom... But Katya didn't even listen to me, just rushed toward the perked up ears of her friends, whispered something while stealing glances at me and giggling.
Да-да, конечно, конечно.
Yeah, right.
Он нас тут совсем за дурачков держит.
He takes us all for fools.
Я вот слыхала, что это все из-за его отца.
I've heard it's all because of his father.
Он недавно кому-то крутому дорогу перешел, и теперь они всей своей семейкой в нашем захолустье скрываются.
He crossed the road of some big shot, and now their family is hiding in our remote little village.
Неправда! Ты все врешь!
That's not true. You're lying.
А слышали, как он бабулина просто так стукнул?
Oh, and did you hear how he hit? Like how the translation's a little off here. Babruin out of the blue.
Это каким надо быть уродом, чтобы в первый же день так над одноклассником измываться?
What kind of freak must you be to start bullying your classmates from day one?
Прекрати! Ты же знаешь, он первый начал!
Stop, you know he started
И
it.
будто этого мало.
And if that wasn't enough,
Ходят слухи, что он спутался с ворюгами из шайки Ромки Пятифана.
there are rumors that he's hanging out with delinquents from Romka's gang.
Ой, девочки, сумки проверяйте.
Be careful with your bags, girls.
Того и гляди, в гардеробе вещи начнут пропадать.
I wouldn't be surprised if things start disappearing from our wardrobe.
Будем знать. Это Петров с дружками постарался.
And we'll know who to blame, Petrov and his friends.
Да-да-да.
Yes, yes, yes.
Замолчи! Заткнись!
Shut up.
Вон как раскричался-то, будто ужаленный.
Look at him scream as if something bit him.
А зрачки-то, зрачки какие широкие.
His pupils, look at how wide they are.
Опять чего доброго с катушек слетит и руки распускать начнет.
I hope he won't go insane and resort to violence again.
Не зря же его мать таблетками пичкает.
I mean, there must be a reason his mom always feeds him those pills, right? I just stood there in confusion, trying in vain to understand how she found out about my medicine. And what scared me even more was the possibility that her nonsense had some truth mixed in.
Да-да,
Yes, that's right.
он такой же ненормальный, как и его сестрица.
Oh, my nose. He is as insane as his little sister.
Представляете, к этой сумасшедшей дурочке каждую ночь прилетает сова ростом с человека.
Can you imagine that she says a human-sized owl visits her every night?
Только что-то ее никто из здоровых людей не видел.
But not a single healthy person has seen it.
А этот наивный простак ей верит.
And this simpleton believes her.
Нет, ну вы представляете?
Can you imagine that? And then I caught a single kind look from the smirking crowd.
Это правда, Антон?
Is that true, Anton?
Неужели действительно? Тебе не здоровится?
Are you unwell?
Полина, послушай меня.
Paulina, please listen to me.
Как же?
Yeah, right.
Не слушай этого болтуна, Полиночка.
Don't listen to this liar, Polinochka.
Ты еще не знаешь.
You don't even know
Он тебя на другую променял. Не из нашей школы.
that he cheated on you with someone not from our school.
На Алису.
With Lisa. Paulina slouched as if someone kicked her in the stomach and then burst out in tears and fell to the dirty floor, wailing and screaming. No.
Почему она, Антон? Почему?
Why, Anton? Why her, Anton? Why? I couldn't understand her reaction, but I still rushed to Paulina's side before getting shoved violently by Katya.
Убери от нее свои лапы, чудовище!
Get your paws off her, you monster! Rage was building up under the veil of my fear. It slowly rose from the cloudy mist. I felt my upper lip lift creep up, showing my
То,
teeth.
что твой отец бьет мать, еще не дает тебе права поднимать руку на девушку!
The fact that your father beats your mother doesn't give you the right to do the same to girls. My fists became hammers. I couldn't unclench them. Nobody can speak about my family like that. I came to my senses when I already lunged at the angry Katya.
Ага! Слетел-таки! Слетел!
He went nuts! Nuts!
Спасите! Помогите! Петров с катушек слетел!
Help! Help! Petrov went completely insane. At that same moment, the crowd around her became louder and started whistling and roaring and growing. The subtle silhouettes of my classmates became larger, wider. They shot upward toward the ceiling, turning into a giant black forest chock full of toothy faces. I shrank to a tiny ball of fur and started shaking in fear before the might of ulcer-ridden trunks that belonged to either trees or humans. It was impossible to tell.
Вот ты и показал свое животное нутро!
So you've finally shown your animal nature.
Трус!
Coward. Kata's face was twisted with jubilation and ecstasy. Anton!
Почему она? Нет!
Why her? No!
Чем она лучше меня?
What makes her better than me? Paulina screamed, while choking on her tears.
Он!
He is just
Животное!
an animal,
Чужак!
an outsider. A scary flapping of wings came from the forest. A pair of giant white ears descended somewhere from above, and I dug myself into them.
Антон! Антон! Пожалуйста!
Please,
Давай!
wake up! I jumped up, almost falling out of bed. Apparently, I was thrashing around for hours in the sweat-soaked sheets. Alia screamed, pulling me out, set me free from the tentacles of fear.
Антон!
Anton!
Пожалуйста!
Please,
Вставай! Вставай!
wake up! Wake up! It took my eyes a while to focus on the silhouette near the window. Alia's voice was distant. My head was still ringing after the fight. Sounds got distorted, as if my ears were stuffed with cotton. My sister, as distressed as ever. My sister, as distressed as ever, just kept on repeating the same phrase.
Сова! Сова!
The owl! The owl!
Пожалуйста!
Please!
Я боюсь!
I'm scared. Her tears poured in my heart like boiling water, but I was almost thankful for the owl's appearance. Otherwise, the scared Alia wouldn't have woken me up.
Оля,
Wait
я
a-
сейчас.
Wait a second, Alia.
Хочешь, я тебе Мурзилку почитаю?
Want me to read Murizilka for you? What is that? A Soviet and Russian monthly illustrated magazine for kids. It has been published since the 1924. The magazine uses unidentified yellow creatures wearing a scarf and a red beret as its mascot. Writers contribute to the magazine early in their careers. Cool.
Подожди.
Give me. I placed my bare heels on the cold floor. Felt around for my glasses. Remembered Semyon, his underhanded act, and sighed.
Антон!
Anton,
Пожалуйста! Пожалуйста!
please.
Посмотри!
Look. She couldn't tear her eyes off the window as if I was staring at a contest, as if it was a staring contest. I found the light and switched with my hand. The lamp poured light all over me. I got up. My vision fooled me, moving the window closer only to push it further the next moment. My sister was just a blurry spot. I took a hesitant step forward. Alia,
Что там?
what's there?
Что-то случилось?
What happened?
Ты хочешь, чтобы я открыл шторы?
You want me to open the curtains?
Нет, не надо!
No, please don't.
Там же сова!
The owl is there. The voice was coming from behind. I turned around and froze from terror. Teary-eyed Alia stood in the doorway.
С кем?
Who?
С кем ты разговаривал, братик?
Who were you talking to right now? She stared at me with eyes that were red from crying, and her hands wrapped around her shoulders. Her voice was nervous, as if she was afraid to hear my answer.
Я разговаривал с тобой. С тем, кто притворился тобой.
I was talking to you, to someone who pretended to be you. The ledge outside my windows creaked ominously, as if something huge was sitting on top of it. And then the thing that pretended to be Alia started spreading, changing shape, grew to scary heights under the light of a carnivorous moon. Anton. Please. Come closer. Come here. The voice didn't belong to my sister anymore. The thing that was hiding behind my curtains got tired of pretending, making me look like a fool. I pinched myself as hard as I could, hoping that the silhouette near the window was just a continuation of my nightmare, a hallucination, brought upon by the cursed house, and those who don't bite, do they? The silhouette was towering before me under the veil of mist. I heard Alia's shrill scream when someone had knocked on the window. Knock, knock.
Она пришла за нами!
It came to get us. Another knock. I stopped back into the middle of the room. As if there existed nooks where I could hide from this horror. Knock, knock. The sound was sharp, metallic. The lamp started shimmering, then it suddenly lighted the hole and went out. Like a candle under a strong wind, the filament inside it snapped with a ringing sound. The darkness that was waiting for that exact moment poured from all the angles and enveloped me. Oh God. There was only this window left in the whole universe. Moonlight poured through it, painting everything the color of bones that was exhumed from a crypt. Alia started squealing and pressed herself into my back, seeking protection. And then, an eye, burning with a carnivorous fire, stared at us from the window. Knock, 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 knock. No, it wasn't trying to break the window. It was toying with us. It just kept on knocking, driving us mad. Knock, 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 knock. As if a giant clock was measuring the time left for us, its pendulum swinging above the abyss.
Уходи! Убирайся! Пошла прочь!
She was screaming in desperation, her hands clutching my arm like a pair of pincers. Anton! Anton! Come closer. I could barely make out a pair of wings that spread out above the black spot.
Скажи ей, Антон!
Tell her, Anton.
Скажи, что я больше не буду себя плохо вести!
Tell it that I won't be a bad girl anymore.
Никогда!
Never ever.
Только пусть она уйдет!
I just want it to leave.
Пожалуйста!
Please. The moonlight suddenly disappeared and the room descended into darkness. We couldn't see the burning eye anymore. It swallowed the stinging lump, or I swallowed the stinging lump that was stuck in my throat. I stepped toward the curtains, entranced by the call of its disfigured guest.
Не буду, не буду, не буду, не буду!
Alia was standing behind me, mumbling, I'll be good, I'll be good, I'll be good. The bleak window was creeping closer, curtains rustled. I reached out to move them aside so I could look my fear in the eye. At that moment, I heard noise coming from our parents' room. Without thinking, I pulled the curtain to the side in one swing. Nothing. Though there was something shiny on the ledge among the scattered feathers. My glasses. The ones that Simeon took from me. How did they get there? Was that a gift from the gurgling night? Did the owl really bring them here? I looked at the front yard, at the foreboding clearing, at the toothy forest. Not a soul, not a trace of our late night guest. Only the old lamppost dreaming like a lone watchman among the snowy desert. The dry window frame creaked. I tore away the insulating tape and the strips of glued newspaper. Opened the window with big trouble. Frost pinned me with its little needles. The paintings on my walls moved from the draft. I touched my glasses, sure they would melt in my hands. But they were real. My brain was scrambling for an explanation. Simeon and his gang just pulled a prank on me. That was it. That's it. A smooth white blanket was glistening under the street lamp just outside our yard. If anybody was to get close to the house, to climb the pipe to the ledge of my window, they would surely leave footprints. But there were none. I cautiously took my glasses. My wrist was still intact. Nobody pulled me into the darkness, full of restless writhing.
Вы почему не спите?
Why aren't you in bed? I swayed from surprise and almost fell out of the window.
Совсем сдурели?
Are you out of your mind?
Жарко, что ли?
Did it feel hot in here?
Не болели давно?
Do you want to catch a cold?
Там сова была! Тоша ее прогнал!
The owl was here. Tosha chased it away.
А ну-ка марш спать к себе в комнату!
Go to your room immediately and get in your bed.
А с тобой?
And you. My mom paused, directing her seething eyes on me. She was thinking of a punishment equivalent to my crime. In the end, she just waved her hand, took Alia by the shoulder, and left, throwing gloomy words in my way.
Завтра поговорим.
We'll talk tomorrow. I managed to get the frame back in place with a couple of hits, pressed on the latches with all my strength my fingers could muster. The cold left the room, but the fear was still present. I placed my glasses on my nose and started studying my reflection in the window. It didn't look like a face, more like a death mask. And like the one worn by the boy from the notice board. That night, I was on the edge of joining him there. A black and white face was staring at me through the clearing between student heads. And it wasn't Volva. His face was right beside it. I recognized the fat cheeks, the damaged skin. Semyon. Burin's photo was printed out and placed under the glass, like an exhibition piece.